been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
And we are closing the book on week one here in Westfield. It is another morning practice and 4 straight shows for us at the facility that is Grand Park. Good Friday morning to you. I'm Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, alongside Cam, on-site engineer. Thank you very much for getting us locked and loaded here to close out the week. Mark Dykton is back in studio. A lot to get to here on this Friday. The Fever get a much needed win. I guess we have a Caitlin Clark update, although I don't really know if there's much of an update in that. And now we're recapping 2 days of Colts training camp practices. They'll go a hair longer today. They'll go to 11:15 today. So again, 10 a.m. start time still. 11:15 today. 90-minute practice Saturday. That is a 4 to 5:30 session. And then James, I believe, will get to full pads coming up on Monday after a Sunday off day. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. I had a good time watching the game last night with the Indiana Fever and the Aces. I thought Natasha Howard played great last night, KB, and anytime you can have her. Yes, I mean, she was basically matching the output from Asia Wilson, who obviously is an MVP and a champion in this league. So it was cool to see them get that win in the Ari McDonald with the dagger late in the stare down. How'd you like that?
You know what? When she shot it, I thought it was Kelsey Mitchell. Like, there are times, and both of them are left-handed, but, you know, there are times when Ari shoots it, I'm like, wait, is that Kelsey Mitchell? The violent step back through the legs.
That was nasty.
Put a dagger on the Aces. As we said yesterday, much needed win for the Fever, so we'll hit on that as well. Laiatu Latu, enjoyed that conversation with him yesterday post-show. We'll play that for you here coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. And I thought Bernard Ryman had some interesting comments with our very own Jay Query yesterday from noon to 3. So I want to make sure if you did not get to that, we'll share some thoughts on the left tackle of the Colts and that contract extension. Pretty rare for a player to admit in late July that the contract talks are going, I guess, not on the same page, but that's what Ryman pretty much said.
Absolutely. I mean, I was a bit surprised to hear him be that candid throughout the interview with Jake, but Jake did a good job of, you know, asking follow-ups and clarifying and doing things, I believe, of that nature, because honestly, I didn't expect Bernard Ryman to perhaps go that in-depth about his contract situation, but most guys, when the money's on the line, KB, they will break rank and kind of speak up a little bit.
And I ask you this for a reason. 2 days in here at Grand Park, would you be pulling your hair out watching these two quarterbacks?
If it was a little bit longer, maybe. I had the afro back in the day, but I think I'm okay for now.
Well, I asked that because the great, the one, the only, Darren Andrews. Did I see the Butler sticker on the back of your car pulling into Grand Park this morning?
It wasn't actually my sticker, but I am a Butler fan.
Okay, all right. Maybe I was seeing some things. The great Darren Andrews from We Grow Hair Indy is with us here, and we will get into the quarterbacks, and if indeed the context around it would provide pulling the hair out. Darren, yesterday I rocked a bucket hat here at training camp. It was hotter than you-know-what yesterday. Yep. I believe the only human that wore a jacket in Indiana yesterday was Stephanie White, that Stranger Things jacket that she rocked last night. Today I went no hat. How do the locks look?
Looking great.
Good.
Very natural looking. Yep.
Okay.
Age specific, looks great.
Well, thank you to your great staff for that. It's funny, we do a family reunion once every 2 years, and it just occurred in early July, and it didn't hit me until I saw these people, earlier this month. They all were like, "Kevin, look at your hair right now."
Right.
And I'm like, well, yeah, thank you. Like, I take it for granted, but I guess I shouldn't. And again, thank you to your staff for that.
Yeah, well, you see yourself every day, right? It's like after the procedure, the hair grows in gradually, and people come in for a follow-up at 4 months. We have a 12-month follow-up process, and of course, you come in at 4 months, you see the before picture, and you're like, wow, because it's so gradual. Other people don't see you for a period of time; they see the change. So we hear that a lot. It's exciting.
That's Darren Andrews from We Grow Hair Indy up at the Pyramids. That's building number 2 online, WeGrowHairIndy.com. The before and after pictures and videos on that website will tell you a great picture. I tell people this a lot, Darren, and it just simply get information. I told you this. I was not necessarily walking into your office saying this is 1,000% something I'm going to do, but at the bare minimum, get answers, get some education, and make a big decision from there.
Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions, and the thing with hair transplants is you see the bad ones, right? So everyone's seen the old bad procedures that back in New Zealand in the day, I had an uncle that had an old transplant done that looked horrible, it looked like cornrows. But now the way we do it, because we move the follicles individually, it looks natural. And getting that information and seeing what's right for you, and we don't just do transplants, we do everything. So not everybody needs a hair transplant. Some people need preventative early stage hair loss, and sometimes you've got to dovetail those and transplants together. But that information and that education is super important.
Yeah, it's funny. I have talked to some people that have had procedures done out of state, out of country, and they are horror stories.
Yeah, I think to a certain degree hair transplants in some cases have been commoditized. We've been doing this for 20 years. This is our 20th year this year, and we've evolved and changed with technology, and it's not a one-size-fits-all. And it's not just about the procedure, it's about the care and the follow-up and being there when you've got a question, right? And right through that 12-month period, we actually guarantee our results. So we stand behind what we do through that whole 12-month period, and that's important. It's a step outside of a comfort zone for a lot of guys. Most guys, I had my procedure 20 years ago. I'd never done anything cosmetic before.
Sure, yeah.
And to this day, it's the only thing I've done. May need some other stuff, but yeah, it's a nerve-wracking thing for a lot of guys, but knowledge is power, and when you have the knowledge, the process is much easier.
Amen to that. Even James Boyd was saying earlier, he was kind of petting the back of his head, saying he might need a
I was just curious. So when in all seriousness, when you see the reaction after the time of recovery from the men and probably some women as well, what is that like to kind of have that gratifying part where there was nervousness at the beginning, but then now a couple of years later and you see this guy smiling?
Well, it's a confidence thing. You see guys when they first walk in for a consultation and, losing hair doesn't mean you're going to go jump off a bridge, right? If that's the case, you come to see us, you're at the wrong place, right? But you see guys come in when they've got their hair back, they carry themselves differently, you get a bit more confidence. Some guys have lost weight. It can be a catalyst for other things in your life, and everyone wants to look and feel their best, right? So when you feel good, you look good, good things happen. So, it's a gratifying thing to see that. It's a lot of fun.
Colts training camp where we are at, that would be Grand Park, just off of 31 here, 191st Street. The sun not beating down on us just yet here on this Friday morning. Again, the Colts will practice from 10 a.m. to 11:15. I am looking forward to our quarterback conversation here in a few minutes because I do think, as any day, there's context around it, and you probably had, one of the more notable throws, not in a good way, yesterday from Anthony Richardson in practice that we will get to. You do have some Colts flavor, if I'm not mistaken, correct, on the VIP front?
We do, Mr. Richter Mulling.
Sure.
Barry Krause. So, and a few more over the years that have gone through that remain private, of course, but we certainly do.
I see a feel in this practice field that could maybe dial you up. Not to get too personal maybe here, but you know what?
They're going to put you in Oklahoma drill, KB.
I'm not going to reveal any names, but, there's been a name or two that they've pulled me aside and said, tell me a little bit more about it. And I said this to you. I honestly, one of my biggest worries when I first did this was the recovery process.
Yeah.
I was super nervous about that. And not just like sleeping upright for a couple days, whatever. That was – it is what it is. But I had a boys' trip to an SEC football game the week after that procedure. It was the week of the Colts playing in Frankfurt was the weekend that I did it, that Friday. But I was more worried about, am I going to be able to go to that Georgia-Tennessee game? And I went, a little bit of a loose-fitting hat.
Sure.
No issue whatsoever. Right. And, that is probably something I tell people the most. I'm not a big, touchy-feely human. So, the procedure day was long. But that recovery process, I didn't think was, immense. I was back at work on Monday. That was honestly one of the more reassuring things to me throughout.
Yeah, so with you, we did the robotic procedure, which is a little bit of a longer day. I had multi-unit hair grafting. But the key thing now is a little bit of planning. So you can plan ahead when you have the procedure. As an example, we used to have to shave the transplanted area all the time. Now we can work in between existing hair, so the cosmetic downtime is less. So planning is really the key. I remember the night of the procedure, I was at the Purdue basketball game, and we were messaging. And I think, again, planning, just making sure that we're all on the same page, understanding, and there's never a perfect time. A lot of guys I'm just going to wait for that perfect time. Well, there's a saying my grandmother used to use back on the farm: if you wait for all the lights to turn green before you head for town, you'll be stuck at home forever. So a little bit of planning, but it's much more easier than what guys realize.
And it was a robot. And
was a robot.
Still make mistakes.
They don't. And so we use it in a hybrid kind of way. We use it to harvest follicles with the FUE procedures, which is what you had done. And then we've got such an experienced team medically, we then place the grafts manually with that procedure type. So It's amazing technology.
That is the voice of Darren Andrews. Again, We Grow Hair Indy. Simply throw the .com on that. Northwest side. Pyramids, building number 2. It's day 3 of Colts training camp. Laiatu Latu, a man that's got some wild-looking hair.
Yeah, I don't know if he needs a hair transplant. He might. He did tell us that if he keeps dying, he might lose it.
What did Luann Rumo, the defensive coordinator, say yesterday about his hair?
It changes every day.
On fire?
He said I would say put it on fire, but he changes it every day.
Yeah,
so.
honestly, it looks like a cheetah. I feel like I'm walking through the plains at the zoo looking at Laiatu Latu's hair. A fun conversation with him. We'll play that upcoming for you at 8 o'clock. Did you say 20 years?
Yeah, it'll be 20 years this year that we got started. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's a big one. It's a big one for us. Very proud. Very proud. You know, we're seeing guys from all over the country now, or outside the country in some cases. And if you had said to me 25 years ago, personally, I'll be sitting here talking to you guys about hair from New Zealand to here. I thought you were crazy, but here we are.
Yeah, it's an awesome story. Last one, Darren. Just simply, if guys or gals have had questions, free evaluation, private evaluation, a virtual evaluation, all of that is readily available.
Yeah, go to the website, wegrowhairindy.com, of course, 317-522-2995. That's the starting point. There's a lot of info on there. Of course, your VIP page, we follow your story, which has been a lot of fun. We appreciate you and thank you very much.
Yes, I've seen the commercials.
Yep.
Yes, I see next to a celebrity every day.
Yeah, I think there was like a 2-minute TikTok on there that my wife was like, wow, look at this thing. It's like 12 months just bundled into 2 minutes here.
You're a natural on TV, but it's that starting point is getting that information, and there's lots of it on the website, and set up that valuation.
I will tell you one quick story. I've done TV now full-time during the Colts season for about the past 3 or 4 years. In the first couple of years, they're like, hey, here's your makeup kit. I'm like, makeup kit? I'm like, do I really need this or whatever? And ever since I got the hair transplant, no one has mentioned the makeup.
Isn't that interesting? Makes you look younger, you see.
I'm like, geez, come on now.
The eyes are popping, the skin looks great.
Yeah, now if we just do something about the gut. Maybe some of those donuts we had yesterday at 7 a.m. didn't help. That is Darren Andrews from We Grow Hair Indy. Darren, as always, enjoy the convo.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
The great Darren Andrews right here live at Colts training camp on the other side. A lot to get to. Again, the Fever, that was a vital one last night for them. They get it done in the Stranger Things uniforms. What is the Caitlin Clark update? Also, I thought, pretty nice afternoon yesterday for the first-round pick, Tyler Warren. Much more on day 2 of Colts training camp. Kevin Bowen and James Boyd live here in Westfield.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Day 3 here in Westfield, Colts training camp, 10 a.m. start time once again. They'll go a little longer today, 11:15, 90 minutes tomorrow. So again, 4-day stretch here to start camp. Tomorrow it'll be in the heat. Well, I guess it's all hot, relatively speaking. 4 o'clock to 5:30 tomorrow. Off day Sunday, back to morning practices Monday and Tuesday. And James, we got a lot of recap here upcoming on the other side on exactly what yesterday looked like. And Bernhard Raimann speaking very candidly on his contract extension.
Yes. Whenever money is involved, players seem to break just a little bit away from the company line of being, all in and for the horseshoe. Bucks matter.
Yeah, would not have had Bernhard Raimann sharing as much as he did yesterday, but nonetheless, he did. All right, last night there was some good sharing by the Indiana Fever. Unlike Tuesday, they were the ones that kind of broke ahead there in the third quarter. You mentioned it earlier. I thought Natasha Howard just did a little bit of everything. It might not have been the flashiest, but she was very key in the Fever getting a W last night over the Las Vegas Aces. Important for the standings, important for a head-to-head tiebreaker. And again, without Caitlin Clark for the foreseeable future, home games matter a whole lot, James. They start 5 of 6 now on the road. They need that one last night, and they got it 80-70.
Yes, again, I thought that Natasha Howard went toe-to-toe with Asia Wilson and actually outplayed her. If you look at the numbers, Asia Wilson had 20 points on 17 shots, 7 of 17 yesterday with 6 rebounds, whereas Natasha Howard had 18 points, 13 rebounds, 6 of 9 shooting, and a couple of, actually 3 steals in there as well. So she was all over the place, and I think that she's been a very, very good signing for them, as expected. I know going into the season, we were expecting for DeWanna Bonner to basically be the biggest signing, but obviously she's moved on elsewhere. But Natasha Howard, I think, has brought it every night.
The Caitlin Clark update before the tip last night read as this. The Fever sent this out yesterday afternoon. Following a July 15th injury to her right groin, Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark underwent further medical evaluations earlier this week. The team can confirm that no additional injuries or damage were discovered. Through the evaluations, Clark will continue working with the Fever medical team on recovery and rehab with a priority on her long-term health and well-being. There is no timetable available for Clark's return, and no additional details will be provided at this time. Any further updates will be shared as they become available. James, what did you make of that statement?
I do believe she has to be made available to speak maybe like a week or 10 days into the injury, something like that. Because remember the first time they shut her down for 2 weeks, she was made available to the media and kind of had to give an update. So we will hear from her in the foreseeable future. But to me, Kevin, it was just a smart decision. Why do we keep calling it day-to-day when we all know it should not be day-to-day, considering how valuable she is to not only the team but to the league and obviously to herself, first and foremost, because you don't want to put her out there at risk of making things just worse. But I will say, she does not ease the anxiety of the fans, because if you watch last night's game from home, which I did, I decided not to go in person and kind of relax after being out here in the sun all day. But she was jumping up and down and moving around, and I'm like, girl, woman, please, relax. You're giving everyone here a little bit of heart palpitations because you won't relax. But I don't know if she's capable of doing that.
No, there is no chance in the world she is capable of dialing.
Did you see her jumping around? I'm like, the groin has to, get better.
I know there are times like, is she going to get technical again?
Yeah.
Sunday for the Fever up in Chicago. Major League Baseball, pretty quiet day. There's nothing I love better than the Reds doing what they did on Wednesday, the Cubs doing what they did, and then not having any baseball on Thursday. So then if the Reds just piss down their leg this weekend, we all can forget about it by Monday.
Oh, no.
No,
I
won't forget.
Studio.
No.
Yeah.
Just glorious to bask in this for a second day.
Quite chesty for a guy whose team's 8.5 games back in the division. All of a sudden talking a lot of trash after winning one game.
Words.
Pretty interesting.
Indians, 3 straight wins to start their homestand here down at Victory Fields. Just a dislocated toe for Justin Fields. We mentioned this yesterday.
Which, by the way, sounds horrible. Still.
No, yeah.
That sounds so painful.
But again, when you hear it carted off,
yes.
I tried to say yesterday when that news broke during our show, like, carted off at training camp, it doesn't sound like absolutely season-ending injury as you would think. The Colts indoor facility, for example, is like 1,000 yards away from their practice field, so anybody's going to get carted in.
Yeah, there's usually like some context. Within the season, when the guy gets carted off, it's a little more dire, most likely.
It is a little different there. Racing-wise, this weekend, of course, we got the Brickyard 400 coming up on Sunday. IndyCar is out at Laguna Seca, which has been a very busy month of July, so Boy, Doug Bowles, he might be going red eye. He might be going private jet here, private jet there. It might be a busy time. Balancing the Brickyard and IndyCar. All right, upcoming on the other side, before we get to Laiatu Latu in the 8 o'clock hour, what did Bernard Reiben share about two sides currently not on the same page when it comes to his contract negotiation? And how did the quarterbacks look yesterday? We'll break it all down for you. This is the Fan Morning Show live here in Westfield. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton.
I stink. I suck. I am terrible.
Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
He's hooked it up, Jess. I don't know if he's got enough left in him. That adrenaline can do wonders. We're seeing what this guy is really made of. What he is. The greatest professional athlete in the world today. Look at this. He's slamming it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Oh, dropping a big leg. Over for the cover. It's over. Unbelievable. I am a real American.
Is it bad? My biggest memory of Hulk Hogan is Hogan Knows Best, the TV show.
No, that's perfectly normal. I think that's okay.
Perfectly normal?
For a non-wrestling fan, yeah.
Gosh, those skies are looking awful. Do you see those skies up there?
I do, and I'm having flashbacks of last year's monsoon.
Gosh.
When I was driving home shivering because I didn't bring any other shirts. But I am prepared this year. If it rains, I have backup clothes in the car.
We'll dial up the radar here. We're live in Westfield. Yes, rest in peace to Hulk Hogan, passing away, I think, just after our show that was announced yesterday afternoon. Colts scheduled to be out on the practice field from 10 to 11:15 today, so a little bit longer. Coming up 8 o'clock, we'll play that Laiatu Latu interview. He's got a food recommendation, correct?
Yes, he does.
Little DoorDash spot that he really enjoyed.
Yeah,
so.
are you allowed to recommend a place if you never step foot into the place?
Well, I mean, food is food.
But I almost don't blame him because I don't think he can walk around and be viewed as like a normal human being. Someone would definitely recognize, even if they don't know who he is exactly, wait a second, you must play a sport because he's a very large human.
I did notice yesterday Samson Ebicom coming back from the torn Achilles took a little bit more of those starting reps, so just something to keep an eye on. Kwity Paye looks to be a definite starter. We'll see how they'll split up. You know, you rotate a whole lot on the D-line. Latu and Ebicom on the other side. Want to get to that Bernhard Raimann audio upcoming in a few because I thought his comments were very candid. And I thought one thing in particular stood out to me that I was scratching my head at about it. We'll play that upcoming in a few. But, James, let's go over the quarterbacks from yesterday. Daniel Jones, as expected, got more of the starting reps that flipped from day one. Again, it adds up to 50-50.
Yeah.
But just specifically yesterday, it was a little bit more Daniel Jones. Whether you want to go Jones, whether you want to go Richardson, whether you want to go both. What'd you see?
Well, to your point about flip-flopping, Anthony started yesterday with the first unit, so anybody who's trying to keep track, it has been even, to your point, Kevin, but I think optically people are always so obsessed with who starts with the ones, but really, like you said, Daniel Jones probably got a little bit more playing time with that first unit. To me, what stood out, the biggest thing, and it's a negative, but the interception from Anthony down the sideline, he was trying to find Ashton Dulin and threw it very short, actually, which is not something we usually say for Anthony Richardson. And it allowed Juju Brents, who is trying to make some plays himself and obviously try to move up the depth chart. He ran underneath it very easily for an interception. It wasn't like he had to make a spectacular play. Just an odd play. Jim Bob Cooter broke it down after practice yesterday and said that obviously he wants the quarterbacks to take care of the ball, but on that particular play, they were putting in, quote, a new motion. So perhaps that was something else that Anthony Richardson was adjusting to. Bottom line is it wasn't a great throw. I think he finished 3 of 7 and 11 on 11 KB. And then I thought Daniel Jones, if I had my tallies correct, was 6 of 10. But again, even Daniel Jones, there were a couple of throws here and there. Each one of them had a couple of throws across the middle that were pretty nice. But again, I didn't come away from yesterday thinking that one quarterback was oh so great or one quarterback was oh so bad. If anything, the more consistent quarterback through 2 days, I get it very early, probably has been Daniel Jones, which in the back of my mind I'm thinking, is that something that Shane Steichen is noting?
Yeah, I would say for a second straight day, it wasn't the abundance that we saw on day one, but James, in 17 passes from those two, 10 Jones, 7 Richardson, I would count at least 2, maybe 3 drops.
Yes,
so,
very good point.
Again, for another day, I didn't think – when 50-50 balls are up in the air right now, the defense is winning those 90-10.
Yeah.
I mean, the defense is whipping the offense when it comes to those bang-bang moments. And, again, the expectation with Lou Anarumo is the coverage will be stickier.
Yeah.
They will get their hands on more balls. They will disrupt things.
To your point, when you do have opportunities to catch the ball, you have to, because I thought Anthony did do a good job yesterday of rolling to his right and extending the play. He found DJ Montgomery on like a little bit of an out route towards the sideline, and DJ dropped it. It was a tougher catch, but hey, man, this is the NFL. You got to catch those.
Yeah, I thought Richardson's best highlight, the Colts tweeted this out, was the rollout to the left in traffic to Michael Pittman Jr.
Yeah, that was a dime.
That was with blanket coverage from Travarius Ward. Even Justin Wally was closing from the other side, the rookie out of Minnesota. I would say right now with Richardson, and this is where you insert the caveat, I'm talking about 2 days of Colts training camp practice on July 25th. And remember, the bar is low with Anthony Richardson. But I've noticed this in the individual periods. I've noticed this a little bit in the early one-on-ones. I haven't seen the outright wild inaccuracy that I have in years past. Like, typically from Anthony, and these are not hard number data right here, but generally, I think when you watch him, even in these, like, routes versus air, James, or, again, individual periods, he'll have one or two ground balls. He'll have one or two balls that almost hits this barn to the left of us, and I haven't seen as many of those. And those are the interception that you just painted for us a few minutes ago, that's a throw he makes. That's actually an NFL throw that, like, he's usually on target with.
Yeah.
I mean, when he throws a deep ball, and he said it after or Jim Bob, I think you mentioned this a little bit after practice yesterday, of like, that's usually an on-target throw for him. So, again, the bar is low. It's 2 days, and the raw numbers won't indicate this with Richardson if you're just going off of 11 on 11. But I will say, in the early periods of practice, when he almost always has a ball or two that's like, wait a minute, should they go get Westfield starting quarterback to come over here and let these guys catch some passes? I haven't seen as much of that. Now, as we get further into camp, as obviously they get into more 11 on 11 periods, I think today, maybe tomorrow, is going to be more of a third down focus, so that is a little bit more down the field. How will all those mechanics hold up, when the red jersey comes off? But, I guess I would label that as a positive. Again, it's a low bar, but I haven't seen the wild inaccuracy with him underneath that I feel like we're used to seeing.
But then my counter would be, what do you need to see? And I get that it's very early, but also every day counts. I mean, you don't have much time. We're not talking about the spring anymore. Every single day you're out here being evaluated. So what do you need to see to tell you that he's making ground in this quarterback competition? Because for me right now, if they told me, again, after 2 days, take with it what you will. After 2 days, if they told me Daniel Jones is starting, I'd be like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, I would do it reluctantly. I mean, like, and that's just the nature of this battle, frankly.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, someone asked me yesterday about Daniel Jones because I think mostly you would say it's been dink and dunk.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think it's a lack of arm strength, though.
No, he has arm strength.
We saw even in the spring some attempts down the field to Alec Pierce and things like that. I think generally it's just a little bit more of a unwillingness. And you know to be fair, again, we again, it's been more of a first and second down focus so far. I thought yesterday one of his better throws was a rollout to the right. He found Alec Pierce just before the sideline there. I mean, neither of the options are great. Neither of the options are good. I mean, that's just the reality.
That's the conundrum they found themselves in. But to your point about him being reluctant to push it down the field, he did push back on that a little bit with us when we kind of mentioned that to him and what we saw during the Giants days. And as Kevin Bowman takes off the headset and looks around, it's getting a little spooky out here at Grand Park. But perhaps that's the quarterback talk or the weather. I'm not sure. But he said that he doesn't think it's a reluctance thing. So we will see as the days stack up and obviously into the preseason games whether or not he's willing to rip one and take a bit of a risk, because that's the caveat with his style of play. It's very conservative, and honestly, do the Colts just prefer that over someone who's going to try to get a chunk play or something like that?
What do you think today will be, rep-wise quarterback? Do you think we just go back to day one, like Richardson takes more of the 11 on 11 reps today, and then Jones takes more of them tomorrow? Or remember, this is day 3 in a row, so do we get any scaled back?
Yeah, I guess it all depends on how Anthony recovers, and this is how nerdy I am, I guess. Will it matter, in my opinion, that you've had more time to recover from this practice to maybe tomorrow's practice? Because in my mind, tomorrow's practice is in the afternoon. So in theory, if you finish up today, you would have more time to recover with your arm and your shoulder and your workload versus trying to get all that same sort of workload today. So in my mind, do you scale him back today, if you're going to do it at all, versus tomorrow because you have more time to recover between today and tomorrow.
Again, that's the voice of James Boyd. We are live here in Westfield, Grand Park, day 3 of Colts training camp. Definitely overcast right now as we sit here on this Friday morning. It looks like radar-wise, hopefully it'll stay north of us. Colts scheduled to go from 10 to 11:15 today. We'll play that Laiatu Latu interview coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. He did throw out some goals for this season and sack numbers, so we'll share that with you upcoming yesterday. James, I did think Bernhard Raimann's conversation with Jake Query was really interesting yesterday. And you know what? I think he's hopefully still in REM sleep, so the ego won't be fed enough. I thought Jake did a really nice job in furthering some of those details from.
Oh, I'll crush that ego. After he did the interview, I was sitting right next to him. He's asking me, "Did I do okay? Should I have asked anything else?" And I'm like, "Dude, you're fine."
That is so Jake.
Yeah.
That is.
So he does care about the craft.
That is the most Jake thing I've heard. Mark, let's go ahead and play this again. Maybe to set up a little bit of the background. Bernhard Raimann is in the final year of his rookie contract. Typically, players with the career arc of Bernhard Raimann in the Chris Ballard era, they get an extension. Now, I think Quentin Nelson might have signed his extension like the night before the season started. Like, it's not like they just get it.
Yeah, I remember this because it was my first year on the beat, and we were at a amazing Mexican restaurant in Houston, and Zach Kiefer, my former co-beat writer, was writing on his phone as I was, taking down a taco.
So I say all that like we hear the phrase often, deadline spur action.
Yeah.
Well, technically, there's really no deadline in this until mid-March next year.
Right.
But, again, in the Ballard era, these decisions typically come right before the start of the regular season, September 7th, that would be. When asked earlier this week about Bernhard Raimann and a contract extension, Ballard gave the very standard quote, "I don't talk about contracts. We think he's a very good player. We think very highly of him." I want to play kind of the full clip here, so it's a little bit more than 90 seconds. But, again, I thought Jake did a nice job of just kind of clarifying some things with Bernie, who is one of the more genuine, I think, quotes on this football team. So here was the Colts left tackle yesterday with Jake Query.
Obviously, we love it here. Would love to, get things done. But I'm not involved in this. Obviously, you have an agent that takes care of this. From my understanding, they aren't on the same page about things. So
you say they're not on the same page.
As of right now, they're not exactly on the same page right now. So, but I mean, as I said, for me as a football player, I'm preparing for the season because that's what matters.
Yeah, I understand. When you talk to your agent about it, when he says, "Hey, look, they're not on the same page," do you think that means just in terms of the Colts don't want to have the discussion yet, or the numbers themselves are way off base?
From my understanding, is that the numbers don't always quite add up yet. The way they might value a position differently than my team thinks it is. But we're working on things.
Your position's one of the most valuable here. You know that, right? Like, I'll be your
sir.
agent for you here. Your position is really important.
Right.
So
obviously, I'm well aware of that.
You just want to make sure they're well aware of that, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, I know that. My agent knows that. Hoping the Colts know that too. But obviously, for me, it's about the here and now. I'm improving. I'm working on this. We still have a guaranteed season with the Colts right now. That's what I'm working on. We're working towards that Super Bowl, and everything else is up to people outside of right here.
Okay.
James, when you heard that yesterday, again, Bernhard Raimann on Query and Company with Jake Query yesterday from Colts camp, your reaction was what?
Wow. He broke rank, and that tends to happen, as I alluded to earlier, when guys want to get paid. Because if you remember, and it isn't the same because Jonathan Taylor is a running back, so his position has kind of been devalued in the NFL throughout the years. Left tackle will always be important because of, obviously, right-handed passers being the predominant passers in the NFL. So I thought it was interesting to hear him, kind of like JT did a few years ago, break from the team company lines and say, wait a second, I want to get paid. And he talked about, when Jake, thankfully, clarified, like, hey, just to be sure, you're not talking about timeline, you're talking about money. And he was like, yeah, the numbers aren't there, and hope they value my position. And so I would expect maybe to pour a little water on the tension here, this to get done, because it just makes too much sense not to, Kevin. But it did sound like Bernhard Raimann and his representation aren't afraid to say, you need to pay me. I'm valuable, which is very true. I mean, whenever he does get this done, I would think that he's going to be a top 10 paid left tackle in the NFL.
Yeah, let me be very clear. You have to get this done. I mean, this is – and I don't care who the GM is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who the GM is, who the coach is, who the quarterback is. Left tackles who are as good as Bernhard Raimann have to get paid.
Well, and, you can get into some technicalities when we talk about Alec Pierce's contract situation.
Yeah, it's not the same at all.
For example, Alec Pierce also in a contract year, same draft as Bernhard Raimann, but, there's no A.D. Mitchell at left tackle. There's no thought that you have this waiting in the wings guy. And let us not forget, Braden Smith's a free agent.
Right.
And that's your other tackle. And, the thought here, I think, is Jalen Travis would take over for Braden Smith potentially as early as next year. So it needs to get done. Chris Ballard's precedent indicates it will get done. I know we're in the camp right now with Ballard, and, I wrote the dude should be fired last year, so clearly where I stand on the fence. But we're in the camp with Ballard that anything that is said or done about him, people are just like, oh, I hate him. But he's the biggest idiot in the world. That's the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
But I bring that up to say this. James, who's the best player the Colts have let walk in the Chris Ballard era?
Oh, that's a good question.
Quality football players they have let leave the building.
In my short time, I don't have.
Because Raimann would define that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I might be grasping for straws here if I say Stephon Gilmore or somebody like that.
Yeah, I was going to.
But he asked for a trade, so.
I would say Bobby Okereke.
That's a good one. But even then, we didn't view that as we were just what? You have a bunch of linebackers.
Exactly. And that's
you scouted that position very well.
Right. So I say that to say, basically all of the draft picks that Ballard has had, the good ones, they have stayed.
Yep.
They have re-signed. So past precedent would indicate this is going to get done. And look, they have a month and a half. Now, the one part of Raimann's answer that I found particularly interesting there that I would wholeheartedly disagree with if Chris Ballard's stance is really this right now at the Colts is the positional value. We're talking about left tackle in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about long snapper.
Yeah.
We're not talking about a fullback.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the one that just, when I heard that as the reasoning behind, I could maybe hear, Raimann was an older draft pick. He's battled a couple injuries. We want to see him play out a fourth. If you want to get into a little bit of that in terms of in the weeds, I could listen to it. But the position, this is a dude that's paid running backs. He's paid linebackers. He's paid guards. You sure as hell better pay a tackle.
I agree. I did wonder for a little bit, and I think it would be honestly a poor decision, could they use a tag on him and then stretch this out? That is a possibility. They haven't deployed the franchise tag very often throughout the Chris Ballard tenure, and I believe Pittman might have been the first time under the Chris Ballard regime that they used it, first time since Pat McAfee actually for the team itself. But I thought that might be a possibility, but to me, the longer you wait, the more expensive he'll become, especially if he comes out this season and has another great start to the campaign. So to me, try to get it done now, which I still think that something would happen before the season starts because, again, what are you waiting for? What does it matter? And at this point, if they're negotiating numbers and they say they're not close, to me, I wonder if that's about the guaranteed money versus the annual average. I know we talk about that a lot as far as contracts. And that's the first thing I do, get the calculator out. Oh, so-and-so got 5 years, $120 million. How much is that over 5 years? But the reality is, for most players, and really if you're team building, you're worried about guaranteed money and when is that out in the contract. So that's probably what they're haggling over, in my opinion, because talking to agents around the league, having a few people I've talked to behind the scenes here with the Colts and with other franchises, you understand that oftentimes when there's holdups in contracts, it is guaranteed money that is the biggest sticking point.
Yeah, the franchise tag's an interesting point you bring up. And I did think this when, we started to get a little bit more into, hey, it's Carly Ursay-Gordon's time to lead the operation. Is there any, mandate from ownership that says no extensions?
Yeah.
Now, again,
Which would not make any sense. Someone would have to, have a little gumption
we could
there.
have Mr. Boyd. We could have Max Bowen be the Colts GM. Bernard Ryman needs to be the left tackle.
Absolutely.
So I don't.
Especially considering what you have behind him, which is not very promising.
Yeah, no, I think that's a huge.
I mean, are you sure you want to? I mean, let's not forget what it used to look like. That's the other thing. Don't take it for granted.
Matt Pryor.
Yeah, that was my first year on the beat.
Achilles, Eric Fisher, and
correct me if I'm wrong. Bernard Ryman is basically the best left tackle and the most solidified left tackle they've had since Anthony Costanzo.
Yeah, a few people are throwing out some names here in the YouTube chat. Danico Autry, quality player.
That's a good one.
I probably should have thrown in the caveat of like, okay, you're like in their prime still. In their 20. And I know.
I guess they would argue that, Danico still had some good years left.
Certainly. But, there's not many, I guess, Ballard draft picks that he lets walk that have proven themselves in the league. Will Fries, people mentioned in here. Yeah, I could hear that out. But again, for the most part, it doesn't happen very often. So I would assume something still gets done here. And if there's one aspect to that Ryman answer that I certainly almost hurled up the lunch, it was the positional value comment there. I thought Tyler Warren had a flash or two yesterday. There was a low ball by Richardson thrown on a rollout to the right that Warren snagged, and it was just one of those bailouts. It was just one of those, like, I don't think a Colts tight end has caught that ball since Jack Doyle. Like, it was just it was not in the ideal catch radius.
No.
It didn't allow Warren to have any yards after catch, but he caught it. And he had a catch from each quarterback in 11-on-11. So after a quieter day one, I did think Tyler Warren got involved. There was a fastball from Jones that grazed off his hands. That's one of those kind of gray area drops that you could debate.
Oh, I counted it as a drop.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Mainly because I'm like, if you're supposed to be that dude, and I'm sure I view it like this too, how would he grade himself?
Yeah,
He'd probably tell us it's a drop.
Yeah. Probably calls it a drop. But all in all, even with that, I thought a better day from Warren and just more activity towards him.
Absolutely. I think he even got a little bit more involved in 7-on-7 as well. To your point about the Anthony throw to him, it was a little bit low. It kind of reminded me of what Gronk used to do all the time, which is probably why he was one of the best, if not the best tight end ever. A bit of a shoestring, kind of lower calf catch. And if that ball is thrown sort of at his midline, at his waist, or at his chest, that's an extra 5 yards. And you could see Anthony kind of beating himself up in the offensive backfield because he's thinking to himself, most likely, dang, yes, he bailed me out, but in a game situation, if it's 3rd and 7 and I hit him and he only can get 5 because I didn't give him a good ball, that is still not, something that's very helpful for us. And so I wonder, just again, a little bit off here and there for Anthony. But to your point, Kevin, outside of that interception, which I think was just a weird kind of fluky throw, he hasn't been all over the place too much. Now, I know some people will say, well, James, the first video you posted on the first day of camp when he was warming up, he missed Mo Cox across the middle by a few feet over his head. Yes, I understand that. But for the most part, it hasn't been too crazy. It's just I wonder how many good to great plays he needs to stack to win that starting job over Daniel Jones.
That is the voice of James Boyd. I am Kevin Bowen. Thank you to Cam Blankenship. On any relation to Rodrigo, Cam? None. Did I see Hot Rod?
Dang, you know what? But he was related to him. He just cut him off after everything went down a couple years ago.
After the Houston game?
He's been exiled.
I thought I saw Hot Rod had a good year kicking in like the, CFL, XFL, one of those leagues out there. All right, on the other side, a goal has been set for Laiatu Latu, and he's got a restaurant that he enjoys, the DoorDash here in central Indiana. We will chat and play that interview for you with Laiatu Latu coming up on the other side. This is the Fan Morning Show here, Friday from Colts Camp.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
We'll get to our combo with Laiatu Latu here in a few. Colts training camp starting to come to life. I think that brief little rain cloud that was over us hopefully hit us to the north, so we are good to go here. Again, practice 10 a.m. to 11:15. Not a lot of morning practices left. Monday, Tuesday, that's it from a morning practice standpoint here at Colts camp. Before we get to Latu, James, I did want to hit on one thing from yesterday. It's kind of late in the show, but the Colts did announce some veteran rest days. DeForest Buckner, Tyquan Lewis, Braden Smith, and Kenny Moore II. Again, the bar might be a little low. Obviously, there were a lot of fans that were like, wait, a rest day on day 2 of training camp?
You're supposed to be well rested.
Maybe people forget this. James, they took day 2 off last year. The whole team. They didn't even practice on day 2 of training camp last year. So on the rest meter, they actually are a little bit higher.
You giving them credit for that?
Than they were last year. The bar is low.
Very low.
But what did you
I can't limbo underneath that thing.
What did you make of the 4 rest days, or maybe the people that were on that rest list?
I was fine with it. I can't overreact too much to it. And honestly, if DeForest Buckner says I'm not practicing, I'm like, you know what? You've played through probably every single thing.
So the players matter to you, I guess is what I'm
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can't be Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones coming over saying, oh, you know, I need a rest day. No, you don't. You're going to get out there and compete. So I thought the guys that they did have rest, which I believe it was DeForest Buckner, Tyquan Lewis, Kenny Moore II, and Braden Smith. They're all established. They all know their roles. They're all very role-defined. And so, if anything, it gives you a chance to see what the other guys can bring to the table. And so, for example, without Kenny Moore in there yesterday, we got a chance to see Justin Wally, the rookie out of Minnesota, in the slot yesterday.
Yeah, even more of them.
He was on the outside on day 1, on the inside in day 2. And, again, he continues to turn heads here at camps. Little things like that I thought was a bit interesting, just to kind of see who's going to be that next person up and if they can kind of gain some reps and knowledge there.
Before we get to the second-year pass rusher from UCLA, I meant to ask him if he's going to go down to that IU-UCLA game in Bloomington this year. I believe that's on a Colts home game weekend. Before we get to Latu, going back to last night, our keys to the game brought to you by the Hubler Automotive Group. Check out your next car at drivehubler.com. Indiana's giant automotive group. Bless you to James Boyd. Pretty balanced. You mentioned Natasha Howard. I thought she did a whole lot. And timely shot making. I know statistically, like Kelsey Mitchell, for example, definitely not the most efficient night for her by any means. But I just thought she hit a couple timely ones there, and they were able to pull away from the Aces late in that game.
And what I love about Kelsey is that she's never going to stop shooting. She's never going to become gun shy. She's going to go out there
and she shouldn't.
No, and I think that is why she's such a tough cover in the WNBA. So not a super efficient night, but like you said, Kevin, some big shots. I thought Aaliyah Boston had a couple of big ones late. She had a big 3 late in that game as well. So, again, this team continues to show some resiliency, which I've been very impressed with. And not to be overlooked, Sophie Cunningham, 4 or 5 from the field yesterday, 3 or 4 from 3.
She's shooting the 3 real well.
She is shooting above 50%. I want to say for like the last week and a half or something like that. So she's been playing very, very well. And so you're just trying to tread water, stay in the mix, and hoping that Caitlin Clark, oh, by the way, relax on the bench a little bit. No more jumping around, doctor's orders. Can get back out there and help this team get into the playoffs.
And that is true that Stephanie White and Becky Hammonds were the only 2 people in the state of Indiana wearing a jacket yesterday.
How do you feel about the blazer hoodie look? Because Becky Hammond had that on. I think it's all attached. Are you a fan of it? I don't know if I like that look because everyone on the Aces bench, their coaching staff was wearing the blazer hoodie.
Oh, boy, I didn't really look into it that much. Okay, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah,
so
I'm pretty sure it's all attached.
Wow. Was that Stephanie White's too, or was that?
No, Stephanie had on like the starter jacket, which was really cool, by the way. Stranger Things starter jacket.
Yeah.
But Becky Hammond, that's her look. That's their staff look.
Man, it's wardrobe. I've been doing the show for 4 years. No one's ever asked me and said, boy, Kevin, you really look like you're wearing something I want in my closet today.
I was just curious about it. I feel like my dad, who considers himself to be a very nice dresser, and I'll tip my cap to Pops, but I don't know if I like the hoodie blazer look. I feel like it's just weird. I'm like, wear one or the other. There's no more requirements anymore.
By the way, I tweeted out the Young Jock video last night, and Maddie saying, I felt like I had rhythm, and Maddie said it looked like I was starting the lawnmower. any final critiques of that? You have largely backed me throughout this process.
No, I think you had, nice intention. You had a little swagger.
Over her.
Absolutely. Okay. You got to tell, your wife, hey, you didn't get with me just because I do radio. I could dance a little bit. I can cut a rug.
Preach.
I'm always gas you up now.
James Boyd, I feel like he's Will Smith and Hitch right now with me. We are live here in Westfield.
Look, it's a little bit easier when you already got the woman, right?
Amen to that. Yesterday after Colts practice, this man was absolutely drenched in sweat, but he made some time for us. Here is our convo with Laiatu Latu. Welcome back here to Grand Park. Day 2 just ended for the Indianapolis Colts. It is hot, and our next guest is nodding his head at that comment right now. Laiatu Latu, is this California heat, or is this a different level heat?
Man, it was 100 over the offseason every day, but this feels worse.
Really?
Yeah.
Just the humidity?
Just the humidity, yeah.
You are drenched right now. Post-practice, how are you? I mean, are you just cold shower? What are we?
Shoot, yeah, cold shower, cold tubs. But, shoot, we had a good day, especially as a defense, so good to get back in the meeting rooms and, critique some stuff.
Latu, as you look at the opportunity you have in front of you with the departure of Dio Dangbo and obviously having an opportunity to have more snaps, what's the mindset coming into this season, knowing that you're probably going to be expected to do a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, just that. I want to do a lot more than I did last year. I want to be able to make plays for my team and teams when they need me and show up in those moments.
The biggest challenge of a rookie year was what for you?
Really just getting accustomed to everything, traveling and all that stuff. And then just getting used to the play speed, honestly. But, I mean, over the offseason, I've been able to work on some things and get better and feel a lot, good going into this training camp.
Lou Anarumo's arrival, he spoke at his opening press conference. He was very high on you coming out of the draft. In what ways do you think you kind of fit what Lou wants to do with that D-line group?
Well, I mean, I'm an athletic type, so, I can drop, I can rush, I can play the run. And really just, anything he asks of me as well as the rest of my D-line group, we're going to get it done.
Do you see that Trey Hendrickson position in Cincy, or is it a little different for what you will be asked to do, you think, here?
I see it in a similar way, and just in terms of being able to use all of us and our skills and attributes, and, being able to create, one-on-ones, which will get us home, a lot and be able to work off each other up front, so it's dope.
So I know a lot of your work, obviously, last year trying to figure out how to win your matchup. But what is it like also, in addition to being more comfortable with the guys next to you and having that full year under your belt, another training camp getting underway with some guys, okay, I know DeForest Buckner's going to do this or whatever?
Yeah. No, exactly. Like, I'm able to know who I'm rushing with. I know, what Bucks likes to do, what Grove likes to do, and, if I'm on the other side of Quiddy or so I know how they play, and I can work off of that and be able to create some openings. So, I mean, that's exciting. It's exciting.
So, summer for you was what? I know you probably spent a lot of time out with Coach Ed McGilvra. I feel like he has all you guys out there. So what was it? We got the offensive side. They did their thing. Did you have a chance to work with some of your guys out there in California or out there on the West Coast?
Sure, I was out there with Quiddy, Dio. We're training with Verse, Sheldon Rankins. Just being able to pick, some of their brain and stuff like that, and be able to up my game, which is dope. And yeah. And
then what's it like to Jared Verse? Obviously had a great rookie season, and I'm sure you're paying attention to at least a little bit. So what's the mindset when okay, this guy had this season, I had my season, but we're friends, but I want to make sure that, my name is mentioned with some of these guys as well.
I mean, exactly. We're all competitive, and we all want to be the best. Just like, Chop had a good year, Dallas had a good year, so, we all fighting.
Number 97, Laiatu Latu, he's with us here live at Colts training camp after a hot one here on day 2. If you could take any skill set from another defensive lineman in your room, what would you take, and who would it be from?
I would say that's a good one. That's a good question. Let's see. I would probably take like Quiddy's ability to be able to make a move off his first one, and then the second one, and his third one, just being able to keep rushing
like
and
counters.
stuff like that. Yeah, and I've been picking up off of each one of them, so I'm super blessed to be a part of the room that I'm in.
Yeah, little birdie told us that Shane the other night threw up the Grover throwing the Minnesota O lineman out of the club highlight in there.
We love seeing that one.
Did that get the meeting room going a little bit?
Hell yeah, especially the new guys that came in. They're like, dude.
So we had a chance to obviously get to know at least your defensive coordinator right behind you, actually, Lou Anarumo, a little bit throughout the spring. What has it been like from just a mentality standpoint? We talked about scheme a lot, but from a no-nonsense standpoint, it sounds like he's not afraid to call anybody out. So what has that been like for you, and how much do you appreciate a guy who, no matter your resume, you're going to get this work?
I was just going to say I appreciate that immensely. I mean, dudes that want to get better are going to take that criticism and going to take that coaching, and he's someone that brings that to the table with his, his mindset, and, he's not going to let, dudes BS, and, he demands greatness, and on and off the field. So, I respect him a lot. It makes me, want to play even harder.
And I know that secondary got a bunch of juice added to it with, Travarius Ward and Cam Bynum. And we're talking to Mooney yesterday, and he's got some confidence about him, a lot of confidence about him. So when he says, hey, we want to go out there and be a top 5 defense, and Kenny Moore saying the same thing, what is that like to I guess, build the steps towards that?
I mean, dudes like that, leaders like that, we're going to follow, and they're going to create that standard, and we're going to uphold that standard and be able to take that onto the field on Sundays and whatever day we're playing and be able to go, kick some ass.
That is Laiatu Latu with us here again live in Westfield. It is Colts training camp. The best thing you did this offseason, off the field, what was the best thing you did? Trip,
off the field?
Yeah, hobby, anything?
I did some hikes, on the weekends when I was in LA, and there's some hikes in Sacramento. So just being able to, go out in nature, get my mind to rest, be closer to God. So, I think that was probably the best thing I've done.
And I know you haven't called Indy home for a while, but do you have a favorite restaurant, a favorite spot here in Indy that you enjoy?
There's a Vietnamese spot called Chow.
Okay.
That's good.
Where's
super
that at?
good. I don't know where it's at. I DoorDash it, but
Got it.
they got a good banh mi sandwich.
Ooh. So a banh mi sandwich would taste like what?
Like a sandwich just with like steak in it, then a bunch of like cucumbers, lettuce, and then their own like Vietnamese sauce and stuff like that.
Interesting. Well, you're talking to the palate of a couple third graders here. Dino Nuggets here.
Hey, I can't blame that.
Look,
I can't
man,
blame
that's
that.
only
Dino Nuggets
once
go
a
crazy.
week. It's only once a week.
Lou Anarumo's judging me here over Latu's shoulder.
I'm just saying, man.
Honestly, the best thing about having kids is I can just eat their food. I'm just like, all that mac and cheese you don't want to eat, I put it right in my belly.
Well, I got one more for you, Laiatu. What's the latest on your brother? I know he had signed earlier this summer, so what have those conversations been like with him about just the transition, the opportunity to try to latch on to the NFL?
So he's been locked in. He's asking me a couple questions that, help him put him a step ahead. When he went out to Buffalo early, being in a facility, working out, growing, trying to get smarter in the room. So he wants to be the best, and I can't wait for him to go kill it too.
And then for those listening, is it Kalecki?
Yeah.
So he walked in when he got drafted. Laiatu brought his family.
Oh yeah.
And then he walks in. I'm like, okay, that's obviously the football player. And his brother walks in. I'm like, wait a second. This is the little brother.
He
and
looked
he's
like a
taller.
hooper.
Yeah, exactly. So
I thought we could feel the roster there.
Yeah, I was like, hold on, wait a second. So he's got some talent too, and I'm glad you're giving him a couple of tips and ropes.
That's love. I appreciate that.
Latu, let's end with this. Year 2 goals individually. What would be that for you?
I want at least more than 8 sacks, and I'm striving for a sack a game, and just being able to go out there on the field and what my team and my teammates demand of me, I want to be able to go and do that and fulfill that.
That is number 97 for the Indianapolis Colts. Laiatu Latu. It is a big second-year role coming up for him. Stay healthy, stay cool, and good luck.
Sure.
Man.
I appreciate you guys.
Laiatu Latu, year 2, James Boyd, that goal number 8-ish sacks, I don't know if he wanted. I remember a spring conversation we had with him, and I asked him, did you hit the proverbial rookie wall?
Yeah.
And I don't think he wanted to go there. If you look at him statistically, though, I want to say the last 5 games last year, James, Latu did not have a sack, a quarterback hit, or a tackle for loss.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say he didn't hit that wall. What do you think? You think north of 8 sacks is possible?
I certainly think so. It also depends on how much playing time he gets. Is he able to solidify himself as that true number 1 defensive end, or at least a starting defensive end next to Kwity Paye? And if that is the case, I think he'll have plenty of opportunities to get after the quarterback, especially with the revamped Lou Anarumo defense. But I did want to point out that for as much as we've talked about Jared Verse and how great he was last year, and nothing to take away from him because he was indeed great, he really, in my opinion, exploded in the playoffs for
he went off
the Rams. But if you look at both players' numbers statistically from last year, I was a little bit shocked, honestly, when I looked back and looked at it myself. 4.5 sacks for Jared Verse, 2 forced fumbles. Laiatu Latu, 4 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. Now, obviously, there's more context to all of those things when it comes to, pressure rate and time in the backfield and things of that nature. However, I thought that, from just the raw standpoint of data, it wasn't this huge discrepancy where I'm like, man, one guy just completely smoked the other guy. I thought that Laiatu had some opportunities he might have just missed. And I do wonder if a slightly more aggressive defense, Kevin, will allow you to get that extra half second to get to the quarterback.
Boy, this might sound wild, but when I saw Latu yesterday, I mean, that man was drenched in sweat.
Yes.
By the way, is this your first sunglass rock of the week?
Yeah, I've been leaving in my car on accident, and I finally remembered that the YouTube chat would probably yell at me. If I forgot them for a third day, they were going to just tell me, well, you must want to go blind. So I got the shades, and I think I look pretty suave.
Yeah, you do. I almost didn't recognize you.
Yeah.
When I saw Latu yesterday, I mean, again, he looked like a man that had just spent 5 hours out in the just dead heat. He needed a cold shower.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? On the agenda this afternoon, I need to go restock my beer fridge. So that's what I did.
I don't think that was on his agenda. I think he told us what cold tub, ice tub, everything else.
It was pathetic how satisfying a feeling I got putting the beer in the fridge yesterday. And honestly, you know what I thought of as I was doing it?
Yeah, okay.
Well, one, I was like, okay, how can I justify this? Okay. How can I spin cycle this? Well, we got some new neighbors, and you never know. Maybe they might pop over.
Right.
Want to be friendly to them. But every time I started to put another beer in the fridge and I could feel the cold air of the fridge and felt I was reassured, I thought to myself, I can't wait for college football.
Okay.
I love college football so much.
Can I tell you, as someone who did not watch a lot of college football growing up, blame my father, I have learned to love it, and I do miss it. I miss the craziness. I told you the other day I love the argumentative nature of it when it comes to scheduling, rivalries,
it's great,
games.
isn't it?
All of it is petty, but it's amazing. And honestly, the environment-wise, I do want to, in my life, hopefully get to some of the bigger college games. Not like I don't need to go to a national championship and all that. I mean just – true rivalry, like whiteout at Penn State.
I told you I went to Georgia, Tennessee a couple years ago.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to it, mainly because –
although Neyland Stadium's a dump. That thing was so claustrophobic on the concourse.
But at the same time, though, if you are just cognizant of that going into it and you're there for the vibes, good time, what's better than that? And honestly, I spend so much time in airports because of the road schedule that we have, and I'm usually trying to schedule my flights early enough so I can land in whatever city before the first college football games kick off that day.
I respect that.
So I don't care. Like the flight's at 7 on a Saturday. Why are you getting up that early? Because I need to be able to sit down and watch some Big Ten game.
Mark, can you get behind the appreciation behind a well-stocked beer fridge?
Of course. Why not? Yeah, like you said, new neighbors might stop by. You want to have something in the fridge.
Sure.
You don't want to be like, we don't really have anything, so.
No, not at all.
That's not a good look. Then those neighbors are going to say, you know what, I don't need to go to the Bowen household.
That's not Hoosier hospitality.
I do have a question.
By the way, a couple Hoosier lagers I did see in the back of the fridge. I kind of forgot I had those.
So for you all with small children, when it's hot like it is throughout this week, do you have the kiddie pool? Do you have the sprinkler system? Because I feel like kids, as soon as it gets hot like this and you tell them, hey, you want to go get wet? And they're like, oh, yes, they're already outside trying to fill up water balloons or run around, and they're screaming. They want to chase you down with the water hose. Is that part of the initiative at home these days?
1,000%. I mean, I think I've told you this. I mean, Max Bowen's been naked for probably about the past 8 or 9 days as we're potty training him. So, yeah, I mean, it honestly works well. I could not believe how many little kids were at practice yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, I get they're not back to school yet, but, I mean, still, yesterday was hot, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we've by the way, I smoked some little kids yesterday in the 40.
Oh, but yeah.
So
okay, so I'm over there. Shout out to Westall. A friend of ours from our kids' preschool. He said that his 2 boys were here, so I was trying to go over to the kids' zone to spot him out. And next thing I know, I see James Boyd signing a waiver. I'm like,
I didn't know I had to sign one.
He's signing a waiver to run the 40. He cut about 13 kids in line to run the 40.
No, I did not.
That part might not be true.
Gave him the stiff arm. Excuse me, youngin', get out of my way.
No, I did the Bill Belichick.
He got in the blocks, and he tried to be Usain Bolt, and what was it clocked at?
Got a 4.78. Handheld time. It's respectable time. Respectable time.
4.78.
I did feel it in the hamstrings afterwards.
I'm on Rivals.com and their recruiting profiles. I'm like, wait, did your high school coach stopwatch you, or is that an actual?
No, the most humbling thing is like you're as fast as the guy on the football field who's 100 pounds heavier than you. But Mark, I got a kick out of that, and in true hater fashion, I walked over and I told him like, which kid wants to lose? And it was a great experience.
Is Kevin clocking under 6 seconds if he does the 40 time?
Yes.
Kevin,
Boy, I'd like to think so, Mark. God,
I think so.
The fact that Mark said that is just so disrespectful.
I
You've
gotta
been
run it
taking
again at the
shots
end
at
of
my
camp.
Cubs. Reds won one game, and you're taking shots. I'm just asking. Go fill out a waiver during your break. You got no more live reads the rest of the show. Go fill out a waiver and do it.
I don't know if I'm more afraid of anything in life than getting hurt doing that.
That's so soft.
I mean, you imagine I tear an Achilles running the 40, and here we got a kid coming in a few months. And, I'm on the mend as Maddie's 36 weeks pregnant, trying to walk around in this heat.
Guess what? You get injured. You've got a fridge stocked with fresh beer that you can just sit on the couch and rest up on.
You are right about that. That is the voice of Mark Dykton, Kevin Bowen, and James Boyd live here in Westfield. Let's check it out.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, let's go into Gamebridge Fieldhouse from last night. It was a much-needed win. The Stranger to Things theme was alive and well, and the Fever were able to get it done. Natasha Howard, very good. Double-double for the veteran acquisition. Pretty good balance, honestly, without Caitlin Clark. Some timely shot making, and boy, that Ari McDonald step back there to ice it. That was big time from her. So 80-70. The Fever get it done. They will be up in Chicago coming up on Sunday. Day 3 of Colts training camp. They're starting to put the field together out here in Grand Park. 10 o'clock to 11:15 today. They'll go 90 minutes tomorrow. Our first afternoon practice of training camp, 4 to 5:30. James Boyd, any grand takeaway from yesterday? We'll get more into the quarterbacks here on the other side, but any takeaway?
We had a Tyler Warren sighting, so that was good. I thought that it was
Tyler Warren sightings.
Important to get him involved on day. I'm sorry, losing my voice here.
You're good. You're good. Drink some water. Tyler Warren did have a catch from Daniel Jones and Anthony Richards. The 40-yard dash has James Boyd choked up here on this Friday morning. So, yes, Tyler Warren pretty active yesterday. So, again, a little over 60 minutes today, and then tomorrow they'll conclude this longest stretch of camp, first 4 days here at Grand Park.
Those kids that lost to James in the 40-yard dash put cayenne pepper in his water this morning.
I was going to say, was that like God humbling me? I'm sorry if I talk too much trash, but hey, I take my dubs where I can get them. If it's a kid out there, I got to win.
I know we dropped out the other day talking about Carly Ursay-Gordon, the State of the Union with the Colts, so I was afraid we had something else like that today. This from Brian. He goes, same thing happened to my 42-year-old buddy 2 years ago. Second child was on the way in 3 weeks. He went to play indoor soccer, blew out his entire knee on a non-contact injury.
Wow.
9-month rehab. Wife was not pleased. There's no chance in hell you get me over there running the 40.
No, there was a guy over in Germany when we went to Frankfurt, and he did a flag football challenge. It looked like it might have been in his 40s, and he looked like he blew his knee out. When me and Nate Atkins from Indy Star were watching it, and I was just thinking to myself, not only did you probably tear something in your knee, you're overseas.
I can still picture alumni basketball a few years ago, and this dude breakaway layup towards ACL. I can picture him right now on the floor. Speaking of basketball, did you see yesterday? We knew Michael Grady would be doing some NBC action with the NBA shifting over there. Robbie Hummel sounds like we'll do some games as well. So, of course, Hummel seemingly does every college basketball game that I'm watching. He'll also do some NBA action.
That'll be weird because having Jay Billis on a couple NBA games last year as well kind of threw me off, but he did well.
Yeah, so he'll be part. He's done some Peacock stuff, of course, NBC there. So shout out to Robbie Hummel. Again, busy weekend from a racing standpoint. Laguna Seca for IndyCar. Obviously, the Brickyard here in town. Sounds like the Justin Fields injury is not too severe at all. Dislocated toe, but I think Ian Rappaport just tweeted that he actually could take part in some individual drills today. So crisis averted there for the New York Jets. Quiet day on the diamond. The Indianapolis Indians have won 3 straight to start this homestand. On the other side, what to make of the quarterback battle, what to expect now as we transition into day 3. We will hit on that. It's Kevin Bowen and James Boyd. Mark Dykton back in studio. Day 3 of Colts camp live here in Westfield. Coming up Sunday, 2 o'clock, it is the Brickyard 400 after those 3 years post-COVID on the road course. Back on the oval again. Kyle Larson got it done last year. You talk about a man with some recent history over there at IMS. We heard Joey Logano on our airwaves earlier this week. Chase Briscoe's been making the rounds. Both have expressed what winning over there would mean. Again, Sunday, 2 o'clock, hopefully some cooler temps. Hopefully a little bit of breeze for the fans. No Colts camp on Sunday, so plenty of eyes, not only nationally but locally as well, on the Brickyard 400.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hogan is in the building! You're damn right he is! Go get him, Hulkster! Yeah, on whose side is he on? What are you talking about? Whose side is he on? What are you talking about? Yes, sir! Get him, Hogan! Go get him, baby! Come on and get some of this now! Who's bad now, boys? Hulk Hogan arrives. What is he doing? My God! Is he the third man? He's the third man! What the hell is going on here? Hulk Hogan has betrayed WCW. He is the third man. Look at this picture. Oh my God! What the hell is going on? Oh my God! Are you kidding me? Probably the lowest shot ever given to professional wrestling.
Rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. Family announced passing away yesterday. What was the age mark? 71?
71, and complications from neck surgery that he got back in May, I guess, that they said that all of a sudden he was having trouble talking, and then he just took a turn for the worse health-wise and all that, and then, yeah, all of a sudden, suddenly passed away. So 71 years old, but obviously had some historic moments, some of the most, the greatest heel turn in pro wrestling history when he turned and joined the NWO and WCW. And while he had some personal life issues and all that stuff, there's no doubt he had a mark on professional wrestling, the likes of which had never been seen, as he brought it into the mainstream.
Who's bigger, Hulk Hogan or The Rock?
I would say Hulk Hogan. He is multi-generational. I mean, my uncle, who hasn't watched wrestling in forever, he's always like, was Hulk Hogan still wrestling? I'm like, no. He's long retired and stuff like that. But you mentioned pro wrestling to even like a grandfather or something like that, and I think they would say, oh, yeah, the Hulk Hogan guy. They know him from that.
Was that solely based off of just wrestling careers, Mark? Because I'm just asking because I feel like The Rock is now like a pop star kind of guy.
I would agree that The Rock.
Watch Moana.
The Rock is the new version of Hulk Hogan, but the Hulk Hogan is the OG as far as that. Like wrestling was always like territorial and everything like that back in the 80s and all that. And then when he joined WWF at the time, he kind of brought it with Cyndi Lauper and everything. The first WrestleMania. And all that, the popularity skyrocketed, and all of a sudden they were on MTV, and they're doing all this other stuff. So he brought it to the forefront. All of a sudden he's doing cameos in Rocky movies and all that stuff. So he was the first big pro wrestling star that made it into the limelight and was all of a sudden hosting Saturday Night Live and all that stuff. So he is the mainstream pro wrestler. So The Rock has followed since then, but Hulk Hogan was the first.
Will Carly Gordon stay on the sidelines? A little bit on that here in a few minutes. James Boyd, I'm simply just relaying the message from some people, but some have questioned your 40-yard dash time. I believe you said 4.78.
Yeah, it's on the video. It's in the video. You can see it.
They were saying maybe the stopwatch, the young volunteer, maybe a little bit of a slow finger or two on the stopwatch.
Well, you know what? This is what I always say to the haters. See it, beat it. So if you got
we can watch the video and time it ourselves?
Sure. Feel free. But my thing is,
if it's a slow finger, if it's a slow finger, that means he was faster, right?
No. I mean, he's not starting it on time.
Oh, I get what you're saying. I think you meant you stopped it late. Yeah. Okay.
No, well, here's my thing. For those out there, who are hating on the 40 time, get out here and run. This is like when we have the All-Star snubs every year. They're like, no, so-and-so's an All-Star. Well, who's going to be off the team? So if you call out my 40 time, I just want to see you get out there. That's fair.
Hard to argue against that. That is James Boyd. I'm Kevin Bowen. We are live here in
Do stretch, though. I stretched, and I felt it in my hamstrings afterwards.
You better stretch. Yes, JMV learned the hard way. 9 o'clock, gates will open up here for Colts City, 10 o'clock to 11:15 today, a little bit longer from a practice time standpoint. We mentioned this earlier in the week. JJ Stankovitz, Colts.com, did a really nice job on a piece with Carly Gordon. And I don't know, State of the Union is a phrase that's coming in my mind, but that's probably wrong. It's more of kind of her vision and how she views the organization and now being the lead voice of her three sisters. And in the piece, she did, or JJ pointed out, that Carly acknowledged that she doesn't think she can be on the sidelines or in team meeting rooms forever. But obviously, she's pointed out the knowledge that she feels like she's gained from those areas. You surprised by that? Doesn't sound like we'll see. We still see her out of practice. She's been out here with her notebook in hand each of these first 2 days. You surprised that she is, apparently going to dial it back a little bit from the sideline or meeting room involvement?
A little bit, but not too much, Kevin, because I do think that with the new roles, principal owner, there's obviously going to be a lot more responsibility within that. It's like when Shane Steichen mentioned transitioning from going from an offensive coordinator to now being a head coach. There's just probably so many more things that come across your desk that usually were sent to your father. If you're Carly Ursay-Gordon, where now you have to handle a lot more things that perhaps we don't see as principal owner duties. And honestly, that is a question I will have for her perhaps a year from now whenever we get a chance to talk to her after her first season is, what are some things that came your way as a principal owner that you maybe didn't anticipate or didn't really understand, or whatever the case may be, just as far as the learning curve?
Yeah, when she said that answer a couple, I guess, months ago at this point about the involvement, in listening to the in-game conversations in particular, I thought that really stood out to me as like, that makes total sense. Because at that point, you get raw emotion. You really hear who's right, who's wrong, who's offering important intel.
Yeah.
I think in NFL Game Day, there's just so much parity in this league that things can shift on one singular play.
Yeah.
And if all of a sudden you get the right play call, or you have a better understanding of who ran the wrong route, or who didn't fill this gap defensively, I think it can offer some insight over time. And by that I mean this, if for 3 straight weeks you're listening on the headset and you feel like Jim Bob Cooters, had 3 pretty good suggestions that Shane Steichen's used in a game, you're going to sit there and say, well, when it's time to evaluate our offensive coordinator, maybe Jim Bob Cooter should hang around, for example, things like that. So, I don't know, maybe the presence of her on the sideline bothers some people, but when she explained it, I'm like, that makes total sense to me. And she obviously threw in there, when you're making $1 million decisions, and, hard to argue against that. So, again, that was in the Colts.com piece via J.J. Stankovitz in his conversation with Carly Ursay-Gordon. All right, coming up on the other side, we'll get you set on day 3 of Colts training camp. What happened quarterback-wise? What context is there to provide? We'll hit that for you coming up next. Tony East going to join us at 9 o'clock. The sun is out. Looks to be another steamy day here at Colts training camp. We are live in Westfield. It's Grand Park. It's day 3 of Colts camp.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Honestly, this is a song that should have been playing as I was restocking the beer fridge last night. Let's go. College football.
Yeah,
baby.
that would have me hyped.
Come on.
We did have someone on Twitter reach out and say, hey, we keep ours in the cooler year-round. Harley D reached out and said, the beer fridge is just a backup. We keep drinks on ice in a large cooler year-round.
Man, that sounds like chess, not checkers here.
Yeah.
Man, Harley D, that is impressive, brother. Good for you on that front. By the way, shout out to the Beat Ball Squad, Indy Thunder. Thank you to Darnell for the text. They're playing today at noon, first spot in the championship game. That would be against Philly. Looks like 1 versus 2 double elimination round. So good luck to them. Mark, you said we had a caller earlier. Dave, was that his name, asking about the QB competition?
Yeah, Dave wanted your guys' opinion, obviously seeing Colts camp up close and personal the last couple of days, how legit this actual quarterback competition between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones was.
Well, James, I guess I'll offer a little bit of thoughts and feel free to follow up. It is more legit early in camp than I thought. You know, I had the question entering camp, when would it get to a 50-50 split? And right now, we're there. I mean, it has been through 2 days. It's a 50-50 split. Richardson a little bit more on day one. Jones a little bit more yesterday. So if you're asking just the battle itself, yeah, I mean, I think it's a real battle. And, again, I had a question about that at the start of camp. Now, I don't know if Dave was asking in this light, but if you're asking how, like, you know, how upper quality or how, legit is the competition from a high-end standpoint, I'd say not very high-end at all.
Yeah, it's a
competition. I wouldn't call it a great competition.
The fact that you have to just use the literal definition to get through it kind of speaks to the nature of the quarterbacks, honestly.
I mean, I'm trying to be serious here. Like, I mean, it is.
No, I think what you said was a very serious statement.
They are battling to be the Week 1 starter against the Miami Dolphins. So far, I get why people look at this quarterback room and think it's 32 out of 32 in the NFL.
Yeah, because I haven't seen anything that's wowed me. I haven't seen either quarterback, show this great command of the offense, and obviously you'd like to see more of that from Anthony because he's been here longer as far as in this system and in this offense, but he's been a little erratic all over the place, as you mentioned throughout both these shows or all these shows out here throughout the week. The receivers haven't really helped him either, and then Daniel Jones, getting back to him, I think that he's just been okay. Like, I never leave practice over these last couple of days and think, oh, they have it totally figured out. Oh, this guy's taking such a big step forward. To me, it has been kind of what I've expected from both guys. Daniel Jones, a little bit more efficient, perhaps maybe not as explosive. But then Anthony Richardson really hasn't had too many explosive plays either, and he's been a little erratic. So I think this is what reasonable Colts fans would have expected.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen, like, wild inaccuracy from either. And, we touched on this in the opening hour. I do think the 50-50 bang-bang plays with the ball in the air, the defense has won those seemingly every single time. I mean, I would say 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
So, that's encouraging, obviously, from that side of the ball, but not from a passing offense standpoint. And, I'll go back to something I said about Richardson in the opening hour. And everything needs to be contextualized, and everything has to be put on the Richardson bar. If you watch the early periods of practice, individual periods, routes versus air, even 7-on-7, I would say in years past, Richardson on a given day would have 3, 4, sometimes more than that.
Right.
Just horrific misses. I mean, awful misses. Ground balls, airmail, almost hitting the rooster behind us, hitting Westfield High School, all that. Bad misses. And I would say through 2 days, the abundance of those misses has not been at the same level. Now, when they've gotten in the team periods 11-on-11, still, you want a little bit more from an efficiency standpoint. Again, I don't think the pass catchers have helped him out. But, I don't know. Is that a droplet of encouragement? It's July 25th. I'm just telling you what I know here through 2 days or what I have observed here through 2 days. But, yeah, I think your assessment of Jones is largely there. It's been mostly dink and dunk. We'll see what happens on a third down day, like potentially today or tomorrow is. And for Richardson, Richardson's interception yesterday, it didn't bother me as much as maybe some other interceptions would bother me. The Richardson pick yesterday was a poor throw on a throw he usually makes. Like, that was a 30-yard ball down the sideline that Juju Brents just kind of basket caught. Yeah. It was an awful throw, but I'm like, well, at least Richardson has shown that. I'd rather see him improve on the short underneath stuff where he must improve versus the longer ball stuff. I know that's in there, if that makes sense.
I'll be honest, Kevin, that sounds like a lot to try to bend it into a positive
Yeah, but I'm not
nature.
Trying to like bend it into a positive. I am speaking in reality. Like, I guess basketball analogy. If Benedict Mathurin went 3 or 4 games without getting to the foul line, but he had big-time defense, I think I would walk into the studio that next morning and say, boy, what encouraging signs about Benedict Mathurin trying to become more of a complete player. I know he can get to the foul line.
Yeah.
He's shown that throughout his NBA career. Anthony Richardson unquestionably has shown he can throw the deep ball. There's no debating that in the NFL. He has been a very good deep ball thrower. So, like, the pick yesterday, yeah, you don't want to see it, but I know that's in his game. Where does he need to improve? Singles, methodical passing, boring stuff. He doesn't have a good boring highlight reel. 2nd and 10 can't be 3rd and 10. It needs to become 3rd and 4. And again, it's 2 days, and I don't want to act like he looks like Drew Brees out here, but the erratic nature that he has had in past years in those portions of practice through 2 days, I have not seen it at that level. You can spin it however you want. You can say it's 2 days. You can say I don't care. You can say he's still going to be a bust. Just telling you what my eyes have seen.
I think that's fair. My only thing is just devil's advocate is like, okay, coming off the shoulder, is all of that fine? And that's the only thing that makes me a bit hesitant to say, okay, the deep ball's still there. We know he can do this. Do we? Like, are you okay after the, shutting down the shoulder? I understand that he went to all the doctors and they didn't have to do anything to his shoulder, and he says
I can hear you out there. Yeah,
he's got to be, more, I guess, manage it. And even when we were kind of asking him, what is your recovery process like? Will you monitor this? And he was saying, well, I'm usually a little sore and this and that. And I'm like, okay, well, what does that, mean for your short-term and long-term future in football, not only just with the Colts, just in general? And so that's what makes me a bit hesitant. And honestly, again, we're talking about competition, Kevin. Make the throws that you usually make then. Because right now, what do we have to go off of to say this is a high point of you? And it's 2 days. I'm not going to get too high and mighty here. But through 2 days of camp, what can we point to and say, hey, that was a highlight? I think the one to Pittman in traffic yesterday was a nice throw. But other than that, what else can you look at and say this is where you've taken a definitive step forward? And that's what we have to see. Because in my opinion, all of it has to come together. We have to give them time. That sounds good from Chris Ballard. That sounds good from Carly Ursay-Gordon. But the reality is that the clock is still ticking, and you're in year 3. And the other guys in your class who are drafted just as high as you, being C.J. Stroud, being Bryce Young, the way they're viewed in their markets with their teams as faces of the franchise is totally different. We talked to Kenny Moore the other day. Kenny Moore on the side of the building outside of Lucas Oil Stadium. Most teams would like to have their quarterback on the side of the building promoting their brand and their team, not a cornerback who is still very good but hasn't been a Pro Bowler since 2021. So that's my thing with Anthony is, like, what steps are you taking just definitively where we can see marked improvement? I mean, I'm seeing out here the potential, but, again, potential is a backhanded compliment until you actually reach it.
Tony East going to join us here in a few. Let's hit a Fever Focus. This is brought to you after every Fever game by Payless Liquors. Get more and pay less at Payless Liquors. James Boyd last night, 80-70, much needed by the Indiana Fever. I thought pretty balanced. Natasha Howard was very, very solid. There were some leaky moments. That was really a back-and-forth game through about the first 2.5, 3 quarters. And I thought, unlike Tuesday night, the Fever pulled ahead there late in the third, and they were able to finish that off. They now have the head-to-head tiebreaker, if it'll matter, with the Las Vegas Aces.
Yes, huge game last night, huge win. I love the step-back, snatch-back dagger from Ari McDonald at the end, and she gave us the look like, yeah, I did that. And so I've always wanted to experience that, Kevin.
Boy, that was a violent step.
I know, and every time I try to do something like that in the gym, it comes after or before an air ball. So I'll leave it to the pros.
90 players on the Colts roster. How many of them do you have a faster 40-yard dash time than?
Whew. Man, I'm
4.78 for those that missed it earlier. James Boyd in the blocks yesterday.
I'm hesitant to say any. I'm not so sure. Like,
oh, stop. Some of these offensive and defensive linemen you can't outrun. I mean, you go to the combine every year. They're all not.
I feel like, but this is the thing though. I feel like if they lined up and it's just like a true race, like maybe I can out time them. But if they lined up next to me, do you think they're losing? No way. So out of 90 guys, I'd go, I don't know, 15 maybe.
If you're running a legit 4.78, I think.
Which is not legit. It's not like it's laser timed.
Gosh, you know how many people we could get to watch that James Boyd versus Colts player in a 40-yard dash?
I would actually do it too.
Well, yeah, I'm not worried about you. I'm more worried about the Colts signing off on that.
They want to get more physical. Come on.
Tony East, Pacers Fever Talk next.
Hey, it's Mark, and this is the last weekend of summer vacation in the Dykton household, but that doesn't mean the summer
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The fans are starting to descend upon Grand Park. Is it Family Day? Did I see that correct? Son has.
This is when I got to go find all my illegitimate kids. They're out there somewhere.
The facility here.
Daddy loves you.
I know. I see a lot of moms ducking right now as they're walking by James Boyd here. 10 o'clock start time, 11:15. We'll wrap things up at Grand Park. And again tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock to 5:30 out here. Let's go ahead, Mark. You said we got another pair of tickets for the Indy 11. Is that correct? Tomorrow night against Tulsa?
Yes, sir. Final pair of tickets. Tulsa, the USL Jägermeister Cup game against FC Tulsa tomorrow night at Carroll Stadium at 7 o'clock.
All right, we're going to make people work a little bit here. Show who's been listening this morning. Earlier, James Boyd shared his 40-yard dash time that he ran yesterday at Colts camp. So we need a number. It starts with a 4. I'll give you that. We need 2 decimal places. Well played. He mentioned 2 decimal places after that. 4 point bleep bleep. That's what we need. 317-239-1070. Mark Dykton will take that for you there. As Queen plays in the background here, we now will rock out with our next guest. He is the elite Guitar Hero player and the great follow for Pacers in Fever action. He is Tony East. Tony, good morning.
Good morning. I was prepared to make a joke about James's 40 time being 40 seconds, but then you said it was 4 point something, so joke ruined. That's not funny
Tony
anymore.
East, there's 90 players on the Colts roster. How many people do you think James Boyd could beat in a 40-yard dash?
Wow. If you're in the 4, like aren't linemen usually in the 5s, right? So that's at least like 20 right there.
Agreed. James, I thought, sold himself short. If he's running a 4.78, he said he could only beat 15. I'm hammering the over on that.
Yeah, I am too. There's always like some slow dudes who are there for other things, right? Like I don't know football well enough.
But I feel
Technique
like if you tell them
special
this
teamers.
is the time, Tony, not to cut you off, but I feel like if you tell them this is the time that some dude who's never played football in the media has run, can you outrun him? They would like find that extra gear to embarrass me.
All of a sudden turn into Tyreek.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like pride and hatred would drive them.
It's like Lily King against that Russian back in the Olympics.
They're gonna be like, some nerd isn't going to beat me.
Yeah. No chance in hell. Yeah, they're going to media nerd you once they cross the finish line. All right, Tony East, Locked On Pacers, the listen. I listened to it on the way up here this morning. He was inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse last night. Let's actually start there, Tony. I don't want to overreact to July 24th WNBA basketball, but that one just felt like it was needed.
Yeah, it did. It's like the story of the Fever season, right? Like they keep finding a way to stay over 500. They keep beating decent to good teams when they can, and they lose to bad teams. Like it reminds me a lot of the Pacers 2 years ago, in that the quality of opponent just simply does not matter for the Fever this year. They can win or lose any given night, regardless of who they have available, right? And last night was an interesting win just in that the 2 stars they did have available, Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell, neither of them were very good. They were both really off. Neither of them were, shooting well. Both of them were, sub 10 points until about halfway through that third quarter. But Natasha Howard, as James tweeted, was absolutely balling. She was huge, and Sophie Cunningham was steadying. They really needed that win. It was huge for their playoff outlook because they got the tiebreaker over the Aces, and they're back over 500 again. So it is the summary of their season, but they got it at a key time.
So, Tony, at the beginning of the year, Natasha Howard said that her goal individually for the season was to win MVP. So after last night, after outplaying A-League MVP and Asia Wilson, is the MVP Natasha Howard campaign back on?
No, it's not. She won Commissioner's Cup MVP. Does that count? Does that meet the criteria?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Look, I'm building the criteria. I am starting the Natasha Howard MVP campaign. Might be a little bit late as far as the campaign starting goes, but the way she played last night, in all seriousness, what has that meant to this group? Not only last night, but throughout this season, where I feel like she has really fit in well with this group.
She has. She's been a little bit better than I thought she'd be, and last night was huge too because the Aces are at their best, I would say, when their front court is clicking, and Asia Wilson was pretty good. Like, she had some dominant stretches of the game, but Howard's defense was really impressive in that game, and the Fever talked about this post-game, and they've talked about it a lot throughout the seasons in various settings, but they feel like they're at their best and they're most fluid when their offense is influenced by their defensive play, like they get enough stops to run, or they just never let the other team go on a huge run and kind of bog them down or force them to switch to certain lineups. And Howard's defense was very good in this game. Obviously, 13 rebounds is part of that, but actually forcing stops against Wilson, against Stokes, against whoever she was battling with down there. And that was the part that I thought really changed the game. And what she kind of hoped, right, her MVP case, I mean, you were there, right, would be predicated on was having a kind of resurgent defensive season. She has been in the Defensive Player of the Year conversations before, right? And at least she's won it. So to have that kind of defensive game was huge, and then she was pushed in transition, making plays from there, finishing in a way that nobody else could last night. So putting all of that together against an Aces team that doesn't take that many threes, I only think they took 15 last night, was really important. It was a big time for a big Natasha Howard game, and the Fever got it when basically nobody else on any sort of volume was any good.
It's the voice of Tony East, Locked On Pacers. Great listen, Forbes. You can find his written work. He's with us on the Payless Liquors hotline. Tony, your favorite Stranger Things related theme from last night was what?
Oh, I do. Aren't those jerseys awesome? Can we say? Are we allowed to
awesome.
just like?
And I've said all morning long, the only person wearing a jacket in the state of Indiana yesterday was Stephanie White.
Yeah, that thing was awesome too. I asked her about that post game. Man, that might be my favorite thing. That was new. Like, I've seen the jerseys before.
That looked slick. That was a cool jacket.
Yeah, it was very cool. That was my first question to her post game was, where'd you get that thing? That was new and different. They hadn't really rocked out with those. They've rocked out with those jerseys before. Obviously, I think this year it's even better timing with the show resuming. My favorite thing, man, somehow they have a jersey for Freddie, like a Stranger Things Freddie size jersey is hilarious to me. They got the brand synergy
this is the mascot,
going on.
Freddie Fever, correct, for those unfamiliar?
That's a good point. I should be more clear. For those listening who don't know who Freddie Fever is, look him up and tell me what you think he is, because nobody knows. I have my guesses, but he's a frightening yet electric man. So I think that's probably my favorite thing is just this massive Freddie with Stranger Things stuff going on. But it is just spectacular. I mean, people already were wearing jerseys last night. Like, people were going to the team store just to buy Stranger Things stuff for the game. Like, people love that stuff. It's so popular.
That sounds like a Jake Query conversation. What is Freddie Fever? Tune in 12:03 today to Query.
I think that he's a germ.
That's what I think too, or a virus. Oh, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to go around marketing yourself like that. Tony, let's shift gears here to the Pacers. When they get underway in October coming up this year, their starting two guard will be who?
It's got to be Ben Mathurin, right? Like, it's interesting because they haven't projected like that, right? We keep hearing about. I think Carlisle did this on a different show a couple weeks ago, and then Chad Buchanan on Setting the Pace earlier this week, right? Like they have said competition at the two, and
is
that
this
would
Benedict
be
motivation, or is this real?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's real, right? They did competition a few years ago when everybody assumed Jarris Walker would be in the rotation. Heck, 2 years ago, I thought Jarris Walker was going to start over Obi Toppin, and then Jarris Walker wasn't in the rotation at all, right? Like, they've had competition to determine minutes in spots like this before. Carlisle's about that, and I think that's totally fair for a team that is, in many ways, trying to win games. But, I mean, this year is like such a huge Mathurin season. They have to figure out how good he is. They have to figure out how much they're willing to pay him, how much he fits with everybody. Obviously, Halliburton not playing is a miss there, but they want to know that stuff. Like, that even if he's not the best guy, like, they have to know this stuff. Like, it feels like he should be the overwhelming favorite, but I do understand, like, if they're coming from the position of winning as many games as possible, at least figure out if somebody fits better. And 2 years ago in the conference finals, Halliburton gets hurt, and they had Turner then, but they started Nembhard, Shepard, Nesmith, Siakam, and a center, right? Like, they started Ben Shepard in that spot, and Mathurin wasn't available at the time, but we've seen them make that choice before. So I'll be curious what they decide to do. Chad Buchanan made it seem like ball handling at that spot would be important. They don't want too much on, defend the best guy all the time and handle the rock all the time from Nembhard. Well, I would consider Mathurin the best of their wings at handling, but if they love it'd be very good for the Pacers if Jarris Walker took a big enough step forward that they could start him for his ball handling or whatever. But, I get why you want to have a competition and give these guys a chance all to play more, because everybody in the mix is young-ish or actually young. But I feel like it has to be Ben Mather just to accomplish all the goals that they'll have this season, even beyond winning basketball games.
Tony, we saw the Pacers reportedly, I believe it was your reporting, they rescinded the two-way offer or qualifying offer, I believe, to Enrique Freeman, and then offered a two-way contract to Peter out of Liberty. So what can you tell us about that development and what Talon Peter? Is it Talon or Talon?
You had it the first one, Talon.
Talon Peter displayed throughout Summer League.
Yeah, I think he earned the spot, right? That was our last two-way spot. Ray J. Dennis, Quentin Jackson had the other two, and regardless of what you think of those two players, I think they're both fine two-way guys. Like, they need point guards in those spots just because, with Halliburton out for the year, they only have two other point guards. So if that's their way to get depth at the position, like, they might need those guys to play real games this year. Great, they have them. So having two of them on two-way, it does make sense. As for the Peter Freeman kind of debate, like, in Summer League, I wondered what Talon Peter would look like outside of just the guy that, the pitch was at Arkansas, Tech, and Liberty of make threes and dunk and be athletic. And, like, don't get me wrong, those are great skills, but can you do anything else? Or, like, is the hope that you'll be better at other things? And in the summer, he did good things in Vegas. He kept the ball moving. He defended actually pretty well with on-ball reps, like made mature plays, kept the ball moving. I would liken it to Ben Shepherd, and that was impressive to me. The fact that he showed a wider breadth of skills than just – in fact, he actually shot it kind of poorly, right? He showed more range of ability than I think I expected and played very Pacers-y with the decisions that he made, wasn't making a lot of mistakes. Like, he earned that spot. He played legitimately good enough to get their final two-way. Freeman was also very productive. Like, it feels weird to talk about one guy earning it and not talking about Enrique Freeman, who shot like over 70% and averaged a double-double. They just already have four centers, and I probably would have tried to find a way to keep Enrique Freeman as the Pacers just because, energy bigs that are smart are good players usually, but he'll be 25 on like on like Monday, I think, and if he's worse than their other four centers, like, is it actually a development project or a talent project? And maybe neither, right? So it was hard to say exactly how he'd fit in this exact season. If you don't think you're going to keep him on a two-way, rescind the offer. He might have chances or opportunities to get a two-way or standard deal elsewhere and let it figure out there. So it's not a guarantee that he'll be gone, right? They could still sign him, but I would surmise that if he's not a restricted free agent, given that the Pacers have four centers, the best place for Enrique Freeman is not Indiana. So it seems like they've settled their roster mostly to this point now.
Tony, we will end with this, and as always, we greatly appreciate your time. Hopefully some quiet time is on the horizon in the month of August. I promise we won't bother you as much as we have. The biggest thing that happened last night inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse, Tony shared via Twitter. Fan named Emma just won the free throw challenge during this stoppage, making 4 in 30 seconds, while the other contestant made 3. Now, this is directly from Tony's Twitter. Tony adds, Emma was on the line for every single attempt. Need an official ruling. So outside of Emma's father knocking on the door of Tony East last night.
This feels like a skills challenge.
Boyd, how do you rate it? I occasionally will see this in a timeout or a halftime show. The rules itself might not be administered to the detail that's necessary, and if we're on opposite hoops, it could impact the integrity of the competition. So your ruling would be what?
Love you, Emma. I'm glad you were out there, but got to give you that L. I got to go to the booth. I got to, rescind some checks or rescind some prizes. Bump that. No, life is about winners and losers.
All right.
This is Indiana, baby. We don't.
Tony East, any clarity, any statement from the Pacers Sports and Entertainment?
Ask Caitlin Clark about this immediately.
I reached out to the W for comment. We'll see if they get back to me.
Well, easy now. Was there? Could you find the audible groan? Could you feel the audible groan from the crowd? Did they express some displeasure?
Funny too, because
like you?
The girl who lost was taking real free throws, like dribble behind the line. The other girl was on the line taking jumpers going forward. It was like a crime of free throw.
Well, you know what?
Everything.
I'll throw this out there, Tony. Now, if you're doing it based off of time, I ain't got time for the whole routine now. Muscle memory, baby. Get the shots up. You can shoot real free throws. Ball to dribble to the right 3 times, spin the ball. You ain't got time for that.
She
honestly,
did hit
after
the
hearing this
fourth one at
information,
the buzzer.
yeah. See, I don't know. I'm not feeling good about the integrity of either side. You got to give them some tips to win this thing. Tony was a great free throw shooter. Did you know Tony never missed a free throw in high school?
I did. That's true.
Never missed a free throw. 100% from the line.
Is this where I ask how many free throws were taken? Or
No. You shut up and you let me leave it at that.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
Kevin, just look at the percentages. My true shooting looks good. The
Yes,
volume not
right.
important. Not important.
No, exactly. Hey, per 36 is all that matters. Tony East, Locked On Pacers, and we always enjoy our chats with him. Tony, have a great weekend, brother.
Yes, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
The craziest human here at Grand Park, I think, is this Brian Mason, this Colts special teams coordinator, right? This man is decked out head to toe. I mean, he's in full apparel, and he runs around these fields in this heat. I mean, gosh, what a legend out here. Before practice starts, he's got the Notre Dame. Got to be dripping sweat.
Yeah, I guess
Shout out to Zionsville High School, Brian Mason. Shout out to Notre Dame.
I will say Zionsville High School has a great football facility. Went down there for a playoff game way back in the day when I was covering the region, and I've been there.
I actually broadcasted a game there with Brendan King one time.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Brownsburg against Zionsville. Brownsburg beat the brakes off them.
But I do think that you have some different type of wiring to be a special teams coordinator. Like we talk about guys being special teams players, and Ashton Doolin will tell me you got to be willing to basically sacrifice everything to be a gunner or to be a punt returner.
Yeah, not every screw's tighten in your head.
To be the guy who coaches those crazy dudes, you got to be a little crazy yourself.
Brian Mason making the rounds here. Colts training camp beginning to come to life in Grand Park. Let's lead off the morning check down right there.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
James, I want to get back to those Bernard Ryman comments on the other side, what he said to Jake Query yesterday about him and the Colts apparently being apart in contract negotiation talks. But let's focus on the practice itself. We'll go a little longer today, 10 a.m. to 11:15 for the Colts. And then tomorrow it's 4 o'clock until 5:30. What do you think quarterback-wise? Do you think we go back to day one? You think it'll be Anthony Richardson getting a few more 11-on-11 reps today, and then Daniel Jones being that guy tomorrow like we've seen so far here, day one and day two?
I think it could be flip-flopped because you have more time to recover, if that makes sense, after today's practice. So perhaps Daniel Jones gets a little bit more of the action because of the recovery time, and then you get a little more in 24 hours for tomorrow's practice, which is, I believe, starting at 4 p.m.
And I don't think any full pads till Monday. I believe that's the first full padded session of camp. So they'll go Monday and Tuesday next week. The night practice is Thursday, the legit night practice.
Yeah, we're going to have lights on out here.
Matt Taylor, do they wheel in lights for that?
I think they are.
Wow,
ooh, they're going to wheel in some lights
for that. I didn't know if we all were going.
Ooh, man.
Like an old Purdue night game.
Yeah, exactly. Ross A night game, Matt Taylor chiming in with here. I didn't know if we were going like iPhone flashlight here for all of us.
Is it a whiteout?
It attended, yeah. Zombie Nation is going to be playing here at Grand Park coming up 8 o'clock next week. All right, last night inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse, as we just chatted with Tony East, the Fever 80-70. And James, again, I don't know if it's the most descriptive way to describe a July 24th win, but didn't that just feel like the Fever needed it?
Yes. I think it gets a bit hairier if you lose that game. And on top of that, you get the tiebreaker over the Aces. So if they end with the same record, you still are in over them. So that was a huge, huge win last night. I thought that Ari McDonald had the dagger late. Sophie Cunningham shooting the cover off the basketball as of late. And then Natasha Howard probably was the game MVP. Shout out to Kelsey Mitchell as well. But again, this team, to their credit, has shown some resiliency throughout this season while dealing with the in-and-out nature of their lineup because of the Caitlin Clark injuries.
The Caitlin Clark update read as this yesterday, and I quote from the Fever. Following a July 15th injury to Caitlin Clark, she underwent further medical evaluation earlier this week. The team can confirm no additional injuries or damage was discovered through the evaluations. Clark will continue working with the Fever medical team on her recovery and rehab with a priority on her long-term health and well-being. There is no timetable available for Clark's return. No additional details will be provided at this time. Any further updates will be shared as they become available. James, what did you make of that update?
It was good to drop the day-to-day label and just continue with, hey, we will evaluate this in due time. I do believe she has to speak legally or contractually by the WNBA within about 10 days or a week and a half of the injury, so perhaps we'll get an update there. But on top of that, I thought that she kind of gave us an update herself last night when she was jumping around on the sideline and flexing when her team was doing well. And I just kept thinking to myself, Caitlin, relax, sit down. Don't take, this big of a step or big of a leap because we need you to be healthy come playoff time. But it was cool to see, again, the team rally around themselves and her and get a much-needed win yesterday against an Aces team that looks so much different. I was watching them, Kevin Bowen, I was like, this is not a championship team at all compared to where they were a couple years ago. And keep in mind, they have 3 Olympians on their team, and 4 actually. Asia Wilson, Jackie Young, Jewel Lloyd, and Chelsea Gray. And they look like that. That, to me, was very concerning.
I don't think relax is in the dictionary for Caitlin Clark when it comes to sporting events.
No, she can't, but I'm like, we need to give her, some tips.
I hear you. I had PTSD earlier. Shout out to Aiden. Is that correct, Aiden? Is that your name? Correct?
Yeah.
Shadowing Matt Taylor. Has done tremendous observational work. Matt Taylor has just been a great teacher to him the last couple of days. But he's got this 5-star notebook over there.
Yeah.
Aiden, can you hold that up? Is that some PTSD right there from school? Aiden, can you bring that over?
Oh, that looks horrible.
Does this look like back to school?
Yuck. I feel like I would have.
Right here on the YouTube
Yeah, I feel like I would have.
They say no free ads, so apologies to 5-star here for the free ad. But, I mean, does this look like I'm going back to Target right now?
It does. It does. I would think that, Aiden Walden, shout out Greenwood High School.
Woodman, right?
Yeah, shout out to the Greenwood Woodmen. But I just feel like Aiden showed why he's probably had this opportunity already in high school to come out here, cover camp a little bit, get a little experience. Because when I was in high school, the notebook was, 1, not that big, and 2, probably didn't have enough notes in it to begin with.
No, he's on it, to say the least. Speaking of on it, they will be over at 16th and Georgetown this weekend. I hope Tom Carnegie would appreciate that. It will be the Brickyard 400, 2 o'clock on Sunday, Laguna Seca for IndyCar. So pray for the Doug Bowles sleep schedule this weekend here. It's been a busy month of July for IndyCar out in Monterey. Coming up this weekend, quiet day, Major League Baseball. The Reds are great. The Cubs are terrible.
If you've ever looked down and thought, wow, this looks heinous.
He's so
I know. He's waiting.
He's
waiting with bated breath, as they say.
What an idiot. I'm such an idiot.
I got 1 million, Kevin. So keep talking your Cubs junk.
Man.
You win one game, and you're getting awfully chesty, man. Awfully chesty.
Quiet day on the diamond. I'm just reiterating what happened here, Okay. Momentum's a beautiful thing in pro sports. Justin Fields, sounds like crisis averted on that dislocated toe. Actually, looks like he's back to practice this morning there. So, again, when you see carted off in a training camp, it can be a little skewy just because with a lot of these facilities, particularly this one here at Grand Park, it's a long walk from the outdoor fields into that indoor complex there. But James Boyd, I just am reporting news here. I believe we're 2 days into camp, and I don't know if I've seen a Colts player get hurt yet.
Which is good. Knock on some wood. We haven't seen.
I'm reporting news.
I know.
Am I not supposed to report news?
You want to give just a quick recap of what's going on here?
Yeah, people believe in jinxes. Can you imagine if I had that type of power that I could somehow just execute injuries like that? If I could snap my fingers and 3 people could
Yeah, I mean, Chris Ballard was telling us in his pre-training camp news conference that if he had that kind of ability, he wouldn't be a GM and he'd be doing something else. And
he did say that, didn't he?
Making a ton of money, and I would be working with him.
I can't recall many days in my covering of Colts training camp that they've gone 2 days and I haven't seen a player. I mean, have you even seen players like get worked out? Alec Pierce, I guess, a little bit on day 1. But he came back into practice, did he not?
Hey, they're conditioned, man. They're trying to go for the long run. They said they want to make the playoffs, and so you can't be getting dinged up on day 2 of training camp. But in all seriousness, that is a good sign. I'm curious to see, again, will we see Zaire Franklin get out here in any capacity before the week gets out? But if not, what does that mean for just next week? Him and a few others, just as far as availability goes. But, again, it is good to not have anybody on the physically unable to perform list.
What do we make of Bernard Ryman saying him and the Colts are not close, currently on a contract extension? We'll hit that on the other side, 10 a.m. to 11:15. Colts training camp, day 3, live here in Westfield.
Especially as of late. So the dude will – oh, excuse me.
That was disgusting,
belch
Kevin.
on a
Sure to enter for your chance to win $500 by predicting the winner of this year's race on July 27th. Go to 1075thefan.com to enter. Now, here's your 2025 race update, brought to you by Bet365.
A little over 48 hours away from the Brickyard 400. It'll be 2 o'clock on Sunday. James Boyd said it beautifully earlier in the week. Spicy and sweet. By that, he means this. The sweet Cookie Monster as the Grand Marshal for the Brickyard 400. And spicy, that would be Pascal Siakam. Spicy P driving the pace car there. You know, some people were cheering for a Tom Brady pace car crash during the Indy 500. No one would be cheering for that coming up here on Sunday, 2 o'clock. I say that in jest, of course. 2 o'clock, that is the Brickyard 400 on the Oval once again after a few years on the road. Of course, Kyle Larson got it done on the Oval last year. We will see who will kiss the bricks coming up Sunday, 2 o'clock. You can hear it right here on The Fan.
You're listening to The Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Boys, he is coiled. Wow, there's a rock bottom. A rock bottom on Hogan. The hook of the leg. Is this Hogan tipped out? Rock God, Hogan tipped out. Look at this. A rock bottom. And a little bit with the rock. Wait a minute. Is he going to hook up there? He is. Rock cannot believe it. Oh, my God. What you going to do, Rock? My God, the Rock can't believe it. What you going to do? And Hogan scores in the right hand. Hogan to the Rock for the Rock. The end could be near for the Rock at WrestleMania 18. He got it! He beat Andre the Giant with that move. That leg is hooked. Oh, my God. My God, the Rock kicked out. Oh, the leg drop. And Hogan, much like the Rock earlier, cannot believe it.
Well, speaking of hulking figures, the left tackle of the Indianapolis Colts would be one of those, and Bernard Ryman. Doesn't he kind of look like a pro wrestler?
He could be. I think he's one of those guys that he probably could have been good at any sport he pursued, including wrestling.
Way too nice, I think, to create an edge in his pro wrestling personality.
Man, I don't know.
But he had a little bit of an edge, I think an innocent edge yesterday when he joined Jake Query. Let's play this audio one more time, Mark, if you don't mind. Go ahead and cue this up. We will react to it. This was Bernard Ryman on Query and Company yesterday when asked about his contract negotiations.
Obviously, we love it here. Would love to, get things done. But I'm not involved in this. Obviously, you have an agent that takes care of this. From my understanding, they aren't on the same page about things. So
you say they're not on the same page.
As of right now, they're not exactly on the same page right now. So, but I mean, as I said, for me as a football player, I'm preparing for the season because that's what matters.
Yeah, I understand. When you talk to your agent about it, when he says, "Hey, look, they're not on the same page," do you think that means just in terms of the Colts don't want to have the discussion yet, or the numbers themselves are way off base?
From my understanding, is that the numbers don't always quite add up yet. The way they might value a position differently than my team thinks it is. But we're working on things.
Your position's one of the most valuable here. You know that, right? Like, I'll be your
sir.
agent for you here. Your position is really important.
Right.
So
obviously, I'm well aware of that.
You just want to make sure they're well aware of that, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, I know that. My agent knows that. Hoping the Colts know that too. But obviously, for me, it's about the here and now. I'm improving. I'm working on this. We still have I have a guaranteed season with the Colts right now. That's what I'm working on. That's me working towards that Super Bowl, and everything else is up to people outside of right here.
Okay, I want to ask you.
Ryman again yesterday on with Jake Query, some interesting comments, and just to provide, I guess, a little bit of background for our audience that hasn't been following the story super close. He is in the final year of his rookie contract, as he mentioned there. Typically, in the Chris Ballard era, players with career arcs of Bernard Ryman, they get an extension. Now, And we talked about this earlier. Quentin Nelson got an extension on the eve of a season 1 year, literally the Saturday night before the start of a season. So when you say deadline spur action, I mean, technically there's not really a deadline until next March, frankly, with this. But
if you wait till then.
In Ryman's case, and feel free to fill in people that I've missed, Michael Pittman Jr., Nelson, Braden Smith, Darius Leonard, those names, they have gotten extensions before the start of this final year. So given that, what do you make of Ryman's comments?
I thought it was interesting that he said, I have one guaranteed year left here, which is true to a certain extent. They could franchise tag him if they wait till next offseason. But when you say, Kevin, they have till next March, yes, but then at that point, other teams come into play if you don't franchise tag him, and the price would skyrocket at that point. So I think the longer you wait, the more expensive he'll become. But also, if they're not close on numbers, I would love to know more in depth. And I know Bernard Ryman's like, I'm not talking about this anymore because I've already said too much. Is that guaranteed money he's talking about? Like, are they okay with the annual average? But as we all know, guaranteed money in the NFL, brutal sport, injuries can take you out of the game at any moment. Is that part of the equation, in which it always is, and how much of that is why they haven't agreed to anything just yet? Because I'm sure they're having discussions, but if I had to guess, Kevin, that will get done at some point this offseason because it just makes too much sense no matter who your owner is, and there's been transition there, who your quarterback is, who your coach is. It does not matter. General manager, the list goes on. You pay left tackles who are good in the NFL. It's pretty much that simple.
Yeah, I largely agree with the premise you just said there of they will get it done. I mean, we debated this earlier. Who is the best, 20-ish-year-old, mid-20, late-20 draft pick Chris Ballard has let walk? He doesn't let good players walk that he's drafted. Bobby Okereke would probably be the only one.
Yeah, and on your list, you did it before anybody else. Most indispensable Colt. Bernard Ryman.
He's number one. And again, part of the reason why I had him number one is because of the lack of depth. Like, right now, the two big, I think, extension debates are who? Ryman and Alec Pierce. Well, the Alec Pierce debate has the dangling carrot of A.D. Mitchell, a second-round pick who this staff, says is uber talented, and you can see some of that talent. There's none of that at left tackle. None of that whatsoever. Blake Freeland is the backup left tackle right now. So it needs to get done. Again, you've got plenty of time until the start of the season for it to get done. The one, I think, gripe Colts fans should have over Ryman's comments are, if you're going to believe his team saying that there's a disconnect between the value of a left tackle. I mean, what the hell is that? That's one of the most important positions in the entire league.
I loved how Jake immediately pointed that out. Like,
Jake did a great
let's just make sure that we're on the same page here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jake did a great job with that. So, yeah, that to me makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever. And, this is a team and a GM that has paid guards, running backs, linebackers. They sure as hell better pay, easy for me to say, a left tackle.
Absolutely. I mean, the only real knock I guess you could have on Bernard Ryman is availability. He's missed a couple of games, but even then I feel like I'm nitpicking. What you have behind him isn't great, and honestly that position is so hard to find in the NFL, and they don't grow on trees because if they did, it wouldn't be
he's
as valuable.
Ballard's best draft pick in my opinion.
Bernard Ryman?
Him or Leonard? When you consider where the guy was drafted, third round.
Okay, I was going to say Quentin Nelson is like a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. But, like, when you consider position, like, how many teams
where he was drafted, positional value,
how many teams
he's
in the
hit.
NFL find a bookend left tackle in the middle of round 3?
That's fair.
Not
That's
many.
fair.
So, I thought that was interesting. And I thought great job by Jake. I'm afraid he's awake, so he might hear this, but that was terrific work by him.
Would you want him as your agent?
That conversation.
He said, I'll be your agent here to Bernard Ryman. What scenarios are you okay with Jake Query being your agent?
He could be my agent if I'm shopping for cologne or watches, and that's probably about the extent of how I'd want Jake Query involved.
I feel like I would want him to just hook me up with stuff. Jake Query, I feel like he's always
Mark,
around.
would you want Jake to be your agent? God, that sounds awful.
Watches, colognes, and then beers that have long since passed as far as popularity, like the Little Kings that came back. He brought those back from the dead. So stuff like that. He's got a knack for that kind of stuff. Monetarily, probably not.
Kings yesterday.
Monetarily,
no.
Or like he can help me get some like random Canadian candy, right? Ketchup flavored chips.
Kevin, do you want ketchup chips? He would say that to you. You want to go to Buc-ee's? You'd say that as well.
That was a great job getting closer to the mic, kind of creating that tone there. That was really well done by Mark Dykton. We'll be back in studio Wednesday with Mark. We'll be out here Monday, Tuesday.
I'm barricading the door. You guys aren't allowed back. I've enjoyed my alone time.
Well,
well, you got to put pants on for us to come back. So
and a few have asked. No worries. Jeff will be back next week. I know some people have been asking about that. They are missing Jeff Rickard on air, and he will be back joining us, I believe, Tuesday. He will be back with us. So we'll get one show in with him here at Grand Park before we are back in studio. All right, let's do one final time here. Live at Grand Park, this is the Fan Morning Show, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
We're back one final time here at Grand Park in Westfield. I did have to chuckle. Cam, our on-site engineer, has done an excellent job getting us ready to go all week long. He just came over and said, "Who is Jack Wilson?" James Boyd, will you fill our audience in on the Jack Wilson stature?
He is a cyborg, and he is a huge
literally
human being. Got into a couple of scuffles yesterday, but I believe he got signed to the team last year. He is, I want to say, an offensive lineman and just a giant human being. He is listed at 6'11", 310. And that is obviously a very, very, very big person. Because football, for purposes of the sport, usually you're not that tall. But he's tall, and also he's lean. Like, tall and jacked.
Yeah.
There's no gut on that man. There's no fat nowhere. He looks like an action figure.
No, he's throwing you from here to the Kokomo Memorial Gym.
Yeah.
Jack Wilson. I looked like he tried to throw Isaiah Land to the Memorial Gym yesterday a couple times there in practice. Yeah, Jalen Travis, the other big tackle. It's like Jalen Travis would usually be the biggest guy in question.
Right.
He's already one of the bigger players to put on a Colts uniform. But players starting to get on the field today. Again, 10 a.m. to 11:15. The Colts will have practice 4 o'clock to 5:30 tomorrow. Nothing Sunday, and then getting you set for next week. They'll go Monday, Tuesday in the mornings. Their final morning practices of camp.
Yep.
Monday and Tuesday. Thursday will be the legit night practice. I believe Matt Taylor said they're wheeling in some lights here at Grand Park at a start time of 8 o'clock for that. And then, James, they will practice Saturday and Sunday next week before they head to Baltimore for the joint practice with the Ravens and the preseason opener. 13 days away, a week from Thursday.
I will be going to Baltimore for that preseason action, and so I'll have to give you all some radio updates from on the ground there and try some seafood. Never been to Baltimore in the summer, so I'm looking forward to that experience.
And they practice at their own facility, is that right?
They practice about, it's like 6 minutes from their stadium in a car, 6 or 7 minutes, not too far away. And we'll have a chance to see some real action, I think, and some big important action because of the quarterback competition and other position battles that we're kind of monitoring throughout the summer.
Laiatu Latu, he was on with us earlier in the week, so thank you to him. Thank you to Josh Downs. Thank you to Kenny Moore II. We'll have some players hopefully join us coming up next week on the show. James, today, tomorrow, what do you care about before the full pads come on Monday?
Obviously, quarterback play. What do you see from Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones? It can never be overstated that they are two of the most important players on the team. But beyond that, can a guy like Tyler Warren become more involved? You know, are there any people who haven't really practiced? One of them being Zaire Franklin. Will he get out here over the next couple of days? That's something to monitor as well. And then we saw Jelani Woods sighting yesterday
7-on-7 catch, right?
Yeah,
for Daniel Jones.
He had a couple of catches in 7-on-7. So again, just who flashes, who pops, and again, just trying to monitor maybe some of the under the radar guys that could be, one, contending for a starting spot, whether it's at cornerback or linebacker, but also, who's that depth piece behind them.
Do you think we will see the 50-50 quarterback split all the way until they name a starter?
Lord have mercy.
Or do you think at some point they won't name a starter, but they'll say, hey, here's 70-30 or here's 80-20?
I think for the purposes of the competition and the transparency, because we all have eyes at this point, you would probably need to say something before you come out one day and it's 70-30.
Yeah, but could you say at one point, hey, we like what Daniel has shown, for example, we want to see a little bit more?
Once you start saying that, I'm going to be asking, he's your starter.
Right,
is he not?
But you're not officially. You don't need. You don't need to name a Week 1 starter until September.
That's true, but I think the longer
you can lead on August 1st, and then on August 15th, if you have a bad couple preseason games, now you're not leading anymore. I guess do we get any of that?
Good point.
Do we get into a jockeying race? At the quarter pole, is this horse leading, and then by the end of it, a different one? Or for the next month and a half, are we just going to get 50-50, 50-50?
I think it all depends, honestly, Kevin, and that's what makes it so unique is that you're dealing with two guys who haven't really proven themselves at the NFL level to be good quarterbacks or to really give, you that sense of confidence going into this season. So I think it depends on when they announce the starter. And for me, Yeah, probably need to have that decision out there in the public, in the locker room. Everyone's on the same page by at least the second preseason game.
Mark, you got any more stupid Kevin Bowen audio to play? But I'm sure you've got about 10 more things you've been waiting to press all day.
10? I mean, we don't have enough show left. I could go for 2 hours with just running Kevin Bowen stuff.
Unbelievable here. Yep. Good luck to your Cubs this weekend.
Oh, hiding in the shell. You hear that, James? All of a sudden he got a little scared.
I know, man. How you gonna duck the smoke? You 6'3", you can't be ducking. We still see you.
It could be a shape of. You just said I pooped all over it. It could be the shape of my poop for all I care, and I would still eat it.
Whoa, I have no idea what that is in reference to.
I think that's AI. There's no way I said that. There's
100%.
No way.
That is 100% Kevin Bowen. That is all man right there.
This is 2025, man. Everything's AI. Was that Brown's video real or was that fake?
No, that was
staged, right?
I don't have AI capabilities, but that was definitely you.
Luke's got a suggestion on the next big old Pacer bet. He wants to go most improved player. You like that, Andrew Nemhard or Benedict Mathurin for league's most improved player next year?
I would lean towards Mathurin. I feel like Andrew Nemhard's too respected.
Certainly get an opportunity, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Andrew Nemhard is probably too respected to get the jump from most improved. And honestly, they usually pick like top 5 picks.
Mathurin odds $10 to win 300. Nemhard 10 to win 140. So you some nice odds there.
So I'll go Mathurin.
Improved player. Thank you, Cam, on site. Mark, thank you. Back in studio, James Boyd. Great work. You and I Monday and Tuesday out here. I believe Jeff Rickard on Tuesday. Everybody have a great weekend. Signing off from Colts Camp.